book? Oh no, not yet. He will not talk about anything until tomorrow. He doesn't want to talk about anything other than this meeting.
Hey, how you doing?
I'll bring it up to him later.
Well, actually, I should
How you doing?
yesterday. But he decided to send it to him.
All right.
Yes, we will.
They won't catch me if I get home.
Oh yeah. Thanks for copying me on it. Hey, how are you?
You met Susan.
Yeah.
Yep. And you met
What's your family?
Susie Hale.
Yeah.
Our
Part of
planner.
this all? Yeah. How many people, sir? 500?
Better write it down for us. He's getting old.
Yeah. It's quite well. Keep staying there.
Well,
Nothing's going to happen. See what this is.
I would see her. That I really appreciate. That I really appreciate. Yeah. That's all you can ask. Oh, yeah. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, maybe you stuck your heart, yeah. There you go. They got one just like you.
Technically, 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch you. You gotta let this lady film. She's filming. She's filming. That's it. Yeah, more people are wake up on this. Yeah. Instead of things got a projector on it. This is 14 recording. 14 years. Yeah. It's got the projector. It's got the projector. 7 and 14. I thought it'd be neat for school. It is good. Take it straight up. And I looked it up and I was told, are you crazy, Craig?
Yeah. Mark was right. Yeah.
I just looked back and I was like, holy shit, there's no chance I can get it. No, I can see it.
Well, they look as cool as that.
They brought us some things. What is it? 8-year-old.
I think he's trying to.
Can everybody have a seat, please? We'd like to get started.
No, keep going.
People standing back, there's more chairs. If you'd like to have a seat, you're welcome to. Okay, with that, the first item is the pledge. We're going to stand up and recite the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, folks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the
Rick?
Is it on? Can you hear me now? Huh? Turn volume up. We're making an adjustment here. Okay, can you hear me now, folks? Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the informational neighborhood meeting for the proposed Union Township Data Center. This meeting is to facilitate outreach and input. The format of tonight's meeting is intended to be a sharing of information on both the applicant and the public. This will not be a question and answer format style of a meeting. The question and answer process will occur at a Plan Commission public hearing meeting to be scheduled in the future. To start off tonight's meeting, the Plan Commission staff will make a short presentation of what is a plan unit development or a PUD, followed by a summary of the process for the PUD application. We feel it is important that everyone understands the process that is required by the Porter County Unified Development Ordinance and Indiana Code. Many of you have attended our Plan Commission meetings over the last 2 months, and hopefully you have witnessed that there is a prescribed process that we must follow. There will be a number of opportunities for public involvement prior to making motions for any decision on applications. The applicant will have up to 45 minutes to introduce themselves and the request of a change in zoning to a PUD. This will be followed by public comment and questions in the form of statements for a period not to exceed 2 hours. We want as many people as possible to be heard tonight. We also want to be respectful of everybody's time. During this public comment portion of the meeting, the speakers must keep their comments within a 2-minute period. If there is a speaker that represents a group of people, please state the name of the group that you are representing, and a total of 5 minutes will be provided. Be mindful of the time allotted, and please refrain from repeating questions and statements made by other parties, so everyone may hear as many questions as possible. We understand that there are opposing views, a lot of information being distributed, and many unanswered questions. All of us wish to express our thoughts and seek answers to questions. To make this a truly purposeful experience, we ask that everybody be respectful so people have the opportunity to hear presentations and pose questions. Interruptions of any speaker, whether an applicant, member of the public, or the Plan Commission, will not be tolerated. No motions or decisions on this applicant request will be made by the Plan Commission this evening. As stated previously, this is not the only meeting in which this request for zoning amendment will be heard, as well as public afforded the opportunity for public comment and questions. The next meeting will be a Plan Commission meeting with a public hearing held at a later date, which will be a separate from our regular scheduled Plan Commission meeting. This meeting will be advertised and notice provided as per our ordinance and Indiana Code. Signs, banners, and other large props are not allowed in this meeting room, so that everyone will have a clear view of the presentations. Again, thank you for your participation, patience, and time. We shall now commence the neighborhood meeting, and with that, I will call on the staff presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. With me today, we have our planning staff. I'm Mike Jabo. I'm the Executive Director of the Department of Planning, or Development and Stormwater Management. The purpose of the neighborhood meeting is a requirement of our Unified Development Ordinance anytime a PUD is in the process. And it's so that the applicant can make their presentation of their project and also hear what the public may have to say, as well as the public can hear what their plans are. I know there's been a lot of information going around. Matter of fact, Plan Commission staff has seen some of the information. It's evolved over time, and that's the point of a PUD process. And as this chairman's, or the president said, this meeting is not planned as to be a question and answer format tonight. It's supposed to be an engagement that all parties get to hear the other people's points of view. You can pose questions. The expectation is by the time we get the Plan Commission public hearing, questions will be answered by the applicant, and we'll also solicit more questions from the public. So the neighborhood meeting is to be informational in nature. As the president said, there are going to be no decisions, no motions made tonight. And as he said, the Plan Commission will be holding other meeting in the near future to be decided. So a lot of you are familiar with what the applicant is asking for. There's 2 parcels of land. I just want to make it clear there's 2 separate cases. We will be hearing them all as if they're one, but when it comes to decision time, the decision will be made on each one will be judged on its own merits as a separate case. As you can see in here, this is a zoning map. This is available on our online services. You can go to our Porter County website, go to the Department of Development, and you can go find the maps in the left-hand corner. These are available. So what is a planned unit development? It's really a regulatory process that changes the zoning of a piece of land. And the PUD was created many, many decades ago in the early 1900s in the United States and other places. And it's basically a zoning tool. So what they're asking for in this petition at this point in time is a change in the zoning to allow what they're proposing to construct. In Porter County, our Unified Development Ordinance lists all our zoning classifications. Within the classifications, we have criteria in which what can be built, how big it can be, how tall it can be, what the setbacks are. So this is a process we deal with on an everyday basis. The PUD is a specialized tool when you have something that does not fit your zoning requirements. Yes, one could go out there and zone it I3, which is heavy industrial, which is the dirty industrial, but I don't think that's something we want to do. The PUD is governed by specific regulations, guidelines in our Unified Development Ordinance. It is staff's duty to make sure that all applications submitted before they reach the Plan Commission have met all the requirements on our Unified Development Ordinance. And you can see a copy of our Unified Development Ordinance again online in our website. And I caution you there are amendments and apologies. We are working to encapsulate all those amendments into one document. So we're on the process to do that. The basic steps of a PUD development is a concept plan and rezoning, and that is what petitioner is requesting at this point in time, followed by a detailed plan submittal, and finally a final PUD plan. Each of those have checkpoints which all have to be looked at and criteria met and satisfied. In summary, the concept plan and rezoning is really the criteria, the cookbook in which the development will be allowed, just the same as any other zoning district we have in our county. The UDO still serves as the base of all the criteria, and the PUD is simply a document that changes certain components of the UDO document to meet the desired development. Also, the UDO states that there are certain parameters. I know height is a big question with everybody. In the UDO, it says there's a certain height for a base zoning. They had to select a base zoning, and there's only a limited few that they can select. They can't select just any one. And then in the height is an example. There's 5 criteria. They cannot exceed that value by 50% of the base value. So there are criteria and guardrails in that respect. The detailed plan is if they want to divide the development into legally platted lots and common areas. In the parlance of what we normally do on development plans, it's called a primary plat. And primary is just that. That's the first stab at doing that. There'll be another process to follow. The applicant also takes all the criteria that was in the approved PUD document, and they design their project to do that, and staff checks that before it goes on to the next step. And finally, there's the final PUD plan. It's the completion of the PUD plan in accordance with the standards of approval, which are contained in the UDO. There's about 11, 14 steps that the petitioner must satisfy in order to get that approval. And the review of the final PUD plan by planning staff with approval by the executive director with a written report to the commission, or optionally, it gets approved at a plan commission meeting. So, the process. I know a lot of people are impatient, and they say they want it to, stop now. But there's a process that we must go, and the process is identified by the Indiana Code. Every planning commission in the state of Indiana follows the same code. We do it time and again. And I'll cite the code for the record. It's Indiana Code 36-7-4-600 and has everything to do with the ordinance. If you elect to read the ordinance, I will point these two words out to you that are very important because there are different types of plan commissions. It's simple to say that our commission is an advisory body, and I'll get to that later. And the PUD is a text change. It's not saying we're going to zone from, say, R1 to commercial, high intensity. That's just simply a zoning change. When you change the text of the zoning, then there's a specific requirement according to Indiana Code 1 must follow, and we'll go over that briefly. So as the president said, any petition to change zoning, whether it's text form or by type, there must be a public hearing. You will find that it's a very robust public process in which before any final approvals is given. The public hearing, the applicant must will make again a presentation of their plan and their request, and then the chairman or the president will open up for public hearing. We will listen to as much public hearing as that wants to talk. And the applicant then must address every questions addressed in the public hearing portion and the questions presented by the public and others. The Plan Commission themselves may also have questions. At the discretion, the Plan Commission may also, as they move toward either a favorable recommendation, non-favorable recommendation, or no recommendation, they may place conditions on any petition before them. So in other words, what you see today may very likely not be what makes it through to the end of this process. And as I said, they make recommendations to the Porter County Commissioners. The Plan Commission does not have the authority to say yes or no. That is reserved solely for the Porter County Board of Commissioners. So once a recommendation in any form is made by the Plan Commission, it is then put on the agenda for the county commissioners, which by state statute is the legislative body, because it's now in the form of an ordinance. Every one of our zoning codes is an ordinance that's approved by the legislative body. And the commissioners shall also hold a public hearing as well and take as much comment as necessary to satisfy the public's desire for information. Now, to prove an ordinance by the commissioner levels, they must have two readings at two separate meetings. However, if the commissioners feel at the first meeting they want to reject said ordinance, they can do so at the first meeting if they so desire. If they wish to continue to the second meeting, they can do so at the second meeting. The commissioners may adopt, reject, or amend the proposal. And here's where it gets a little different than most ordering. Should the commissioners reject or amend the proposed ordinance, it shall be returned to the Plan Commission because it is a text change. And the Plan Commission, if the commissioners amend it or reject, has to come back to the Plan Commission for them to discuss it again, and they will then report to the commissioners. If the Plan Commission disapproves the rejection or amendment, the original rejection then stands if confirmed by the county commissioners. So it's a very detailed process. It's not something we made up. It's what the Indiana Code says we must do. And as I said, it does involve a very big component of public involvement. Planning staff, if some of you have noticed, I put it here. There's also, if you've got the meeting agenda down at the bottom of the page, there's a web link, or you can go to our website, portercountin.gov. You can click on that link. It'll take you to a page we've created just for this project, and on there you will see any messages from the county. You will find a calendar of meeting dates relative to this project, as well as you'll find it on our regular calendar on the web page. You will find the documents that have been submitted by the petitioner for this as they progress. And as I said, this thing may evolve and change as we go. And there's also a place if you wish to send an email comment. We'd be glad to receive any comments that you may have. Now, that's the end of our slideshow. I want to remind everybody that when it's time for public comment, we're first going to let the petitioner talk. But we have 3 microphones. Please queue up in line, orderly and all, and we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and then back again. We're going to try to make this as efficient as possible so we can hear from many of you who can. So with that, Mr. President, we may continue with the meeting. And members of the commission, when the petitioner, it's kind of awkward, so we're asking you to sit in these chairs so you can watch any presentation they make. And then we'll return back to your seats when we go to public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Jabo. Okay, times for introduction of the project, and let me remind you, you have 45 minutes, and we have a timer, so we got a lot of people who want to speak tonight. So the timer's on, and you're on now. So
Mr. President, would y'all like to take your seats before we start the presentation and timer, just to make sure you kind of get settled?
can you repeat that, please?
I was just going to ask if you wanted to take your seats before we started the timer, just so that y'all
Yeah,
know.
let's take
Okay,
seats.
great. Thank you. All right, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is a first experience for me being able to present to the backs of our commission members. It does truly feel like a first date in this sense, but perhaps a blind date, one that I've never been on in this fashion. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here and present and have this discussion. As we resolve our presentation, just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce myself, the organization, give you an idea of who we are, what we're going to be talking about, and why we develop what we develop. My name is Nick Blessing. I lead policy and economic development for QTS Data Centers. I've been with the company for almost 8 years now, and we've been working for... Hello? Yes, sir. Can you hear us okay?
Can you hear us?
Is that okay for everyone? Okay, great. All right, thank you for the patience, everyone. In the event that you weren't able to hear, my name is Nick Blessing. I lead policy and economic development for QTS Data Centers. QTS is a Kansas City-based data center developer, owner, and operator. We have been developing data centers for roughly 20 years. We've been doing this all across the country and often come to communities to conduct meetings just like this. We've had an opportunity to interact with a few individuals thus far, and opportunities like this make us better, smarter, more attuned to navigate the process, as Mr. Jabo just laid out before us. A few things to know about QTS currently is not only have we been doing this for over 2 decades, but we have delivered and are continuing to deliver nearly 75 projects across the United States. As you can imagine, all those communities are different, have different objectives, priorities, concerns, and they give us an opportunity to learn, aggregate those best practices to try and bring them to be thoughtful partners to the community. And we see this opportunity as an opportunity to do just that, is to be thoughtful, to listen, to share information, and to give us a foundation to move forward through this process with a common understanding. Our core business focuses around really 3 verticals, which are enterprise businesses, think of healthcare, banking, financial institutions, all of the things that make our daily lives function. Your GPS runs through a data center. Your mobile banking app cashes your check virtually in the cloud, just as your health records are stored, retrieved, and then processed to ensure that you have timely care. QTS is a company that is firmly rooted in our core values. I don't like to make a habit of reading slides, but I do want to take an opportunity to share these with you because I think they're really fundamental to the way that we think about not only our entrance to a community, but the ways that we partner them and the things that we prioritize. The first three are integrity, character, and trust. Foundational to any relationship are those three core tenets, whether it's entering a community and having an opportunity to converse with someone and they share their concerns. You have to be able to respond appropriately, and that, frankly, is what we're here to do. We want to provide a venue to do that, and as a result, QTS ensured that we filed paperwork to directly identify ourselves as part of this project and wanted to appear before you so that we can receive your feedback directly. Two other things that I think are of particular note are our core values in family, faith, and community volunteerism. When we enter a community, we strive to become part of it. We're not here to change a community or change the values. We're here to understand it and see if there's an opportunity to empower your priorities and ensure that we have an opportunity to promote the things that are important to you. Some things that we often prioritize across our organization are our ability to contribute to charitable organizations. In 2024 alone, we donated over $7.5 million to over 300 plus organizations. We also dedicate specific personnel time to get out into the communities where we operate so that we can serve those communities. We give every single employee 72 hours a year to go out and volunteer for paid volunteer time to ensure that we're investing in the people that are investing in our facilities. Personally, I've had an opportunity to do this on a number of occasions. 2 years ago, I had a chance to send a small town baseball team to the Little League World Series that operates in and next to one of our facilities. And we continue to see opportunities to partner with communities in that sense. So what are data centers? What do they look like? I can tell you I've worked in one for nearly 9 years. On the front of all of them, we have Class A office space because they are 24/7 by 365 operations. Again, they are the underpinning of our digital economy and what happens on a day-to-day basis, whether we realize how we're utilizing their services or not. We take great pride in how we try and construct the aesthetics. Obviously, we try and work with planning staff to ensure that we're representing the values of the local community in the design by potentially modifying design elements, but we do try and ensure that they are nice places to see and to visit. To that end, you'll likely notice in the next couple of images large American flags. We procure 50-foot American flags, which we call our freedom walls. And as we commission facilities, we dedicate these to the community, to our EMS, first responders, fire department, and police personnel with corresponding contributions to continue to fund their departments. As you'll see, we do have a number of amenities. One of these images is actually the office where I work. But the Class A office space is intended to provide a strong environment for people to feel a sense of place and ownership over the operations of the facility. So what are data centers? Why are they important? As we've touched on, they touch every aspect of our lives. Many of you may be watching this over live stream. That is running through a data center at this moment. The GPS that you use to arrive here, the comments that you'll share on social media will all likely come through a data center server in and around the area. And so these facilities are the infrastructure and the digital backbone of our modern economy, our modern lives, and have an opportunity to make significant impact here locally as well. What are those impacts? They are the ability to generate significant tax revenues, jobs, very skilled labor jobs, long-term construction and employment, highly skilled and high-paying technology jobs, and importantly, it establishes a technology ecosystem that supports tangential and complementary jobs and service industries. Specific to this project, QTS is contemplating a $2 billion investment in real property enabling infrastructure, which we would anticipate creating somewhere in the realm of 125 to 175 full-time permanent jobs. What we typically also see is that there are 6 indirect or induced jobs that correspond to those employment numbers. And then what I can share with you additionally is that upon full build-out and stabilization, we would anticipate that this could generate somewhere north of roughly $10 million in annual tax revenues. And based on our understanding, roughly 2/3 of that, based on current county allocations, would go directly to the schools. With that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Chris Capper, to continue to work through and explain what the proposal is before you.
Good evening. As Nick mentioned, my name is Chris Capper. With QTS, I lead our pre-development team, where we're focused on new land opportunities, working through zoning and entitlements processes, permitting, and enabling construction activities to take place. Sorry, can everybody hear me okay? No. Is that better? Is that better? Yes. Okay, thank you. Sorry. In case you did not hear me, my name is Chris Capper. With the QTS team, I support our pre-development efforts here. I'm accompanied by Jess Spinner Gambell to my left and Kyle Riley to my right, who support me as we work through the pre-development process. As we talk about this opportunity tonight for this PUD, we want to talk a little bit about how we are attempting to outlay a process that corresponds with some of the existing objectives that are in place with the county ordinance. There's existing industrial land due north of the property, just south of the Wheeler subdivision. This opportunity aligns with the economic goals of the county as they continue to evolve over time in an ever-changing dynamic environment. The development supports economic diversification of the tax roll as we look at it today. There's a preservation focus here on some of the environmental features that exist out there today. And we'll jump into some of that as we look at some of the sites. Enhancements to public service efficiency. We understand today that the existing roads are unpaved and that this development would require extensions of both water and sewer infrastructure. We are in discussions with the operators of those facilities today about what it would take to extend those facilities and understand the potential benefit to the surrounding neighbors as we look to bring that new infrastructure into place. And last but not least, there's an optimization of the existing infrastructure. There is a robust backbone of transmission infrastructure that sits in this area, and that's what brings us here today to talk about some of this opportunity. As Mr. Jabo started the conversation tonight, we talked about the need under the PUD to identify a zoning ordinance with which we were going to bridge or comport back with. Under the PUD ordinance, that is the I-1 zoning district, want to focus in on building height because we understand that there are some concerns about that in the community today, as well as setbacks and proximity of these structures relative to the existing landscape as we understand it today. So the PUD code states that there are abilities to make modifications or amendments to the following: lot area and width, building setbacks, height, and lot coverage may be modified up to 50% under section 4.2G1. With this project, we're proposing a maximum building height of 75 feet, reaching that 50% ordinance modification. With that, we are also talking about permitting of mechanical equipment above that roof line element itself that's measured from the finished floor to the top of the roof structure. We understand that that is what's causing some angst, and as such, we've looked at our programming for the overall site plan, and we've brought forth some proposed setbacks that exceed by more than 50% the requirements outlined in the I-1 zoning district. For agricultural land and non-residential land, we're looking at a 100-foot setback opposed to the 50-foot requirement. On the residential side of the equation, we're looking at a 200-foot setback opposed to the 50-foot requirement that exists in I-1. And proximity to the existing school in the community, we're proposing a 500-foot setback from our property line, which is 10 times more than what the I-1 zoning district requires. These maps offer a depiction of what the existing conditions look like here today. The callouts that you'll see on the screen are indicative of the existing topography
and some of the drainage patterns. As we look at our proposed development opportunity here, you'll see that there's preservation happening north of the Roper Ditch to some of those existing landscape features that sit out there today. There's no impact to any of the aquatic features that sit on site today. We're looking to maintain those and avoid impacts of those. And we're also looking to circle those elements with the hydraulic features that are going to be required to ensure that we have adequate stormwater management, runoff protection, and water quality preservation prior to any discharge leaving the site from the net new impervious area. The maps above depict the development area as I walked you through relative to the existing plan today. You'll see this is consistent with the setbacks that I talked about earlier and the preservation concepts of undisturbed land north of the transmission infrastructure and north of the Roper Ditch today. This is a slightly better depiction of the existing green features that will remain in place and that we're committing to preserving. Again, north of the transmission infrastructure and north of the Roper Ditch, we have a non-proposed disturbance area, or a proposed non-disturbance area, excuse me. Surrounding the site, I want to call everybody's attention or make aware a 20 or 32-foot wide landscaping berm that we're proposing around the site. As we talk about viewshed, as we talk about sensitivity of these developments relative to the existing characteristics of the community, we're mindful that these buildings today change the landscape. As such, we're looking to incorporate landscape features such as a berm and an aggressive planting schedule to allow us to buffer the viewshed from the right-of-way and from the adjacent property to the proposed development. We have a couple depictions in here of what our buffer looks like from the crown of the buffer to the existing grade at a 3-to-1 slope. We're looking at a 5-foot elevation change between the base planting of that deciduous tree relative to the road level. Coupling that with the aggressive planting plan that I had mentioned here, we're trying to break the massing of the viewshed from the road with both shrubs, evergreens, and deciduous trees to offer softening of the landscape relative to the building structures. We have a couple perspectives that we've incorporated in here. The 2 red dots that you see at the bottom of the screen are representative of the future depictions that we'll show here in a second. Both of those images are taken from the right-of-way, looking back towards the development with the assumption that the setbacks are in place as presented on this screen. You'll see here this is a condition in which the building is constructed without any landscaping buffers in place, and you can have the opportunity to view what the viewshed would look like if there were no buffering and there were no plantings in place to help screen the structure from the right-of-way. At installation, these trees will be planted here. Thank you, President. As we look at the opportunity here with maturation and the selection of mature trees at planting, we envision that the screening will be in such a fashion that you will be able to shield the development from the surrounding area with the maturation of these trees in about 10 years. This viewshed here is representative of slightly further up the road as we look down County Road 450 north of what the development would look like, again, without the planting plans in place. At installation is depicted here, and you start to realize the benefit of the berming as it relates to screening of the existing or of the proposed structures relative to the existing right-of-way, and then at maturity. Jumping over to the southerlymost site, again, we have some view sheds. These ones we think are probably most impactful to some of the concerns that we've heard from the community today as it relates to the proximity to Wheeler High School. That'll be our southern location. And then again, we have another perspective from the northern location. So this depiction is from the rail line itself as it sits there today, with the new structures and the setback in place, ensuring from the property line we've got 500 feet of setback relative to its proximity to the high school. With a planting program in place in 10 years, we believe that we'll be able to help soften the view shed and screen the visibility corridor from Wheeler High School. And then from the north, looking south, similar depiction. You can see the landscaping on the left-hand side of the screen here, some electrical infrastructure off in the distance. And another depiction at maturity of what that landscaping buffer and setback will provide. As we talk about the existing improvements in the marketplace today and some of those buffers that we flagged, between our southerly development area, which is depicted by the, I guess, tannish color on our screen here, we see a couple of existing improvements, the Canadian Rail line that we looked at, the existing 345 electrical service in place by NIPSCO, we have the baseball fields, and then we have the school structure itself. Based on aerial imaging, we were approximately 2,000 feet from the nearest school building. With the proposed southerlymost development area, we are about 1,000 feet from the nearest ball field. And again, just reiteration of the setbacks that are proposed there. The depictions and the dimensions that I mentioned earlier are representative of those points on Wheeler High School's, the school grounds, as well as the baseball field relative to the setback line and where development would take place. I'll turn it back over to Nick.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, folks, for bearing with us here. A few additional things before we prepare to open for public comment. I wanted to share a few more philosophies, principles that we share as we engage in meetings like this and how we continue to think about the partnership. I want to talk about two specifically, and that's us as a neighbor and how we can support the community specifically. I think those two are particularly important because that, again, is why we're here. It's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to grow, and it's something that we take very seriously. So we're committed to continuing to conduct this process. I think what you'll see is everything that is available to you publicly. I think Mr. Jabo has even provided an opportunity for you to access that through the county site. That's one of the core principles. And as we think about the partnerships with the community, we want to ensure that if and or when our project is a success, it's a success not only for QTS, but for the entirety of the community. We talk about investing in communities. That happens not only with our dollars and our infrastructure, but with our time and with our people. Some of the ways in which we think about that and try and be accountable to those communities as well, as I mentioned, first and foremost is transparency. Yes, in the process, but also by how we operate our facilities. One of the things that QTS takes great pride on is that we publish an annual environmental sustainability and governance document. It is currently available and published to our website where you can see all aspects of how we operate, those criteria, our goals, and how we're weighing up to those. It is audited and affirmed every year by a third-party unrelated entity so that we can have some assurance throughout that process as to how we're tracking to these very real goals. Of those, there are a couple of things that are very important. Obviously, energy and water. You'll hear metrics and acronyms like PUE and WUE, which are effectively power utilization efficiency, water utilization efficiency. They're ways for us to be accountable, but they're also ways for us to demonstrate that to our customers and to our communities. because as a consumer of resources, we have to ensure that we are a responsible one. I think we could all agree that we like our computers, we like our tablets, and the things that they provide, but we have to be responsible in the ways that we develop and maintain the infrastructure that powers them. So as a result, we take great strides to ensure we have those metrics with energy and water efficiency, as well as having very aggressive carbon neutral energy source procurement, as well as recycling and water conservation goals. While I'm on the topic of water, I do want to take the opportunity to talk about our design and how we cool. As you can imagine, we all have laptops. You can send email or go on Facebook and you can feel the fan spin in that computer. That is how it cools the board in your computer. Traditional data centers used to use water for cooling purposes. QTS does not do that. We have two primary solutions for cooling purposes. In either event, they leverage closed water systems. In that scenario, we bring in water, we load a system. It is in that system, sealed, maintained, highly regulated, and then it is hauled off-site and recycled at a plant. In no instance do we contribute to or draw from groundwater sources. Doesn't make sense for us to do that operationally, nor would it make sense for us to do that to the communities in which we live and operate. We also have very intentional programs to ensure that we're giving back for any resources that we utilize or consume. Specifically, QTS has goals to do one-for-one tree replantings in the communities where we operate. If there are not opportunities or conservation organizations to partnership, we then prioritize regional partnerships. We've had great success in many of our developments doing this, one of which highlighted on the screen is a partnership with the Southern Conservation Trust where we have done just that. We've actually exceeded our one-for-one tree replanting opportunities there, and we continue to prioritize conservation partnerships locally to ensure that we are prioritizing the priorities of our local communities where we operate. And lastly, as an affirmation and commitment to transparency, we wanted to make sure we were providing an opportunity for everyone to access information, reach us directly, and receive updates from us. So you will have two resources to continue to receive information and interact both with county and with applicant directly. So what you'll see on your screen is a QR code and a URL which will be posted and provided to the community at large, where you can submit questions, inquiries, see project updates, and receive links to an array of information and resources that we think will be helpful as we continue to navigate this dialogue. Some of the items that we've continued to hear from the community, I think we've had an opportunity to share some information from. I did also want to take the opportunity while we're on this page to address maybe two or three other points that I know that I've heard either in the room this evening or prior. I wanted to start first with noise. QTS is committing to conduct an acoustic study to ensure that we are in compliance and comporting with local and state requirements there. Those are scientific. It will become part of the PUD itself and available to the public, and we welcome the dialogue around that. It is our objective to ensure that we are abiding by all of the ordinances, and I can tell you anecdotally, having worked in a data center that is fully functioning for nearly 10 years, we are quite competent at conducting any mitigations to ensure that we are appropriate, responsible, and the best neighbors that you never know you'll have. Secondarily, I also wanted to take an opportunity to talk about emissions, specifically those from generators. I know that's often also bundled with noise. Generators are only used in the event of emergency. They are fail-safes. Since these are 24/7 by 365 operations, you need to have access to these mission-critical pieces of information. If you have to call an ambulance and that ambulance cannot reach you because they cannot access Google Maps, or they cannot pay at a gas station with their credit card, or assuming they get you to the hospital and the hospital cannot access your medical records, those are all instances that we have to ensure maintainability. It is our responsibility to ensure that that does not happen. which is why we partner with utilities. It's my understanding that there are utilities potentially here, and perhaps they can address some of the aspects from the application from their perspective. But what I can tell you is the only instance that these generators are run are for the purpose of testing. This happens once a month with an annual run, and it is very, very minimal. There, in fact, are emission caps on each and every one of those generators in accordance with state and local permitting regulations, and so they are highly, highly regulated. As you can imagine, data centers being a 24/7 by 365 operation, they are highly regimented. Roughly 40% of our operations staff are former military, and that's by no accident. We have SOPs, MOPs, EOPs, every type of operating procedures that you can imagine to ensure that it is safe, reliable, secure, and that there are no instances that we have to have emergency response. When there are instances, very limited instances of response, we partner with our local EMS, fire, and police, provide training, provide funds, do site walkthroughs, and ensure that if in the very unlikely event there were ever to be an instance on site, everyone is appropriately equipped and supported to facilitate that. But again, the mission critical purpose of these facilities is to ensure that they are safe and resilient and available to provide the services upon which we all rely on. And lastly, I wanted to address one additional comment that I had received around electromagnetic frequency. I am not a scientist. I will not claim to be one. I have Google. What we will do is we will provide links to the World Health Organization, the National Institute of Health, as well as cancer.org, that all have substantiated third-party studies that talk about electromagnetic frequency, and upon my cursory review, all demonstrate that largely the devices in and around our home have more impact than any transmission line that you would see either bisecting a school or delivering capacity to a site. From my understanding, that's actually why there are easements in place to ensure that there is appropriate separation and that that's not a concern. I hope this is helpful. It certainly has been for me, and I think for the team as well. I want to ensure we have an opportunity to give everyone a chance to comment. I would ask, I don't know if we're going to switch back over to cameras, but I do want to make sure we leave this on the screen so everybody has an opportunity to take a picture or write down the address. And I think that their link will be recorded and distributed as well. So again, we thank you very much for the time. Clearly, there's a lot of interest and passion around this community, which I think speaks very much to the caliber of folks that we have here in the room. Again, we appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to hearing feedback.
All right, thank you. Next is for public comments, so if the public wants to start lining up at the microphones, please.
So we have 3 microphones, one here, here, and here. So the chairman will point. You can make your comments. Member will be timing. If you're an individual, reminder, 2 minutes. If you're a person representing a community, please identify your community. You'll be given 5, okay? And with that, we can start the timer.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is Rex Richards. I'm president of the Valparaiso Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here today not because our organization, we have not taken a position on the issue, but I'm here to compliment the county, the Planning Commission, for going through this type of zoning process. In Valparaiso, we've had 2 major units that have used the planned unit development, Lakes of Valparaiso, and also Journeyman Distillery. This process gives you the opportunity to ask questions. And our feeling is we have a great community in Porter County. And we want the community to continue to grow and thrive. So as you go through this process, we ask that if you need to hire experts to help, please consider doing that, because there's a lot at stake: the investment, the jobs, and the quality of life that we have in Porter County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you're on. So
Can you hear me?
Just state your name and your
I
township.
don't believe this is on. Can you hear me in the microphone?
I could hear you. Go.
Test, 1, 2, test.
Okay. State your name and township. So. Does it-
Sure. So you're skipping. Okay, yes. Hi, Rick Kolensky, Director of Economic Development and Public Affairs, representing NIPSCO, the utility tonight. First of all, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hey, time out. Hey, we're not having that. No, time out.
First of
Go
all,
ahead,
I
sir.
want to applaud the Plan Commission and the Commission and really Porter County for the educative session tonight. I know there's a lot of conversation that's happening, and this is really good government. So applaud the petitioners, the government, and really the community for coming out and listening and getting educated. No question, as a utility, we're excited about the growth and economic development opportunities that data centers can bring to northern Indiana. Data centers mean more jobs for communities in the state of Indiana, increased tax revenues, which can be reinvested in our communities by supporting schools, paving roads, improving parks, and expanding our public safety. These new investments can help diversify our industry sectors located here in Northwest Indiana. Our teams continue to talk to financially and technically capable and qualified data center customers interested in investing in Northwest Indiana and our region. Over the last few months, I've heard concerns and even statements about energy reliability and increased rates that are all tied to data center development. One of the goals for which NIPSCO Generation Company subsidiary was created was to separate our costs associated with the infrastructure and the needed load to serve large load customers such as data centers. Our NIPSCO Generation Company application, which is pending in the IURC, would do a couple things. It would protect existing system customers by separating costs associated with these investments. This strategy will shield existing customers from the financial impact of new capacity investments, such as generation and transmission associated with serving these customers. The most important item I want to point out tonight is NIPSCO will not compromise our reliability and affordability to service these customers. The reliability and the affordability that we serve existing customers is a key priority to ensure existing customers are appropriately protected with the addition of new customer growth. Our proposed NIPSCO Generation Company structure is part of this commitment, as it would allow development of new generation to support data centers and economic growth that benefit all of Northwest Indiana, while also financially protecting customers in this room tonight.
Your time's up.
Didn't I have 5 minutes to represent? Okay.
Oh, you got 5? Okay.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
I just want to state that we're prepared to serve these customers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Sir.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
My name is Matthew Carper. I'm a Union Township resident. Like many of us who are here who want to speak tonight, I have a lot I want to say, but we have to keep our time short, so I want to focus on talking about Northwest Indiana and our local Union Township community. You can't tell the story of Northwest Indiana without mentioning our steel mills, our oil refinery, building trades, our unions, and the large industries that have helped us in our area develop. We understand the need for this type of business, but we also understand the need for proper land usage and responsible zoning restrictions. We understand the need to separate industrial and residential areas. We understand the need to protect our children and provide them a positive educational experience so they can follow their dreams. Many of us work in the industrial facilities previously mentioned, and the people of Northwest Indiana know what a heavy industrial complex looks like. You can't hide it with precast concrete, aluminum composite wall panels, screen walls, or a handful of arborvitaes or tasteful landscaping. The enormous size of these facilities, the electrical substations, the industrial cooling equipment, the industrial generators, the fuel storage, the energy requirements, and the noise created by these facilities indicate to all of us that these are high-impact industrial facilities. Northwest Indiana has a lot of existing industrial areas that could accommodate this development. And this proposed development should be prioritized in an already developed industrial area. An area that does not have schools in the immediate vicinity. An area that does not have existing residential neighbor zones. An area that does not have noise-sensitive areas. Union Township is not one of these areas. Union Township has existed for decades as a bedroom community. We as a community have chosen to live here for this reason. We do not want our industrial areas in Union Township. Instead, we desire to live here, raise our families here, send our children to school here. We want to preserve our way of life. We want to preserve our agricultural areas and our wonderful neighborhoods. If private property owners wish to sell off large parcels of land, then we as a community demand that it should remain residential for farming and residential neighborhoods. I have a little bit left to go. If the development of agricultural zones in Union Township is unavoidable...
Sir, your time's up. Okay,
Can I have a minute? If the development of agricultural zones in Union Township is unavoidable, or if the county wishes to create new revenue streams, then we as a community demand that it be done through the creation of new residential neighborhoods and not by building industrial facilities that will impose on our already established and thriving community of approximately 10,000 residents. Neighborhoods are always popping up next to schools, and we have some of the best in the area. In closing, I will leave you with one last thought. There's been a lot of talk about QTS wanting to be a good community partner. In that case, they want to form a partnership with us and our community, then the representatives of QTS will listen to what we have come here to tell them tonight. Withdraw your proposed development in Union Township and find an existing industrial area that will be a good fit for your data centers. Thank you. Go Bearcats!
My name is Andy Vasquez. I live in Morgan Township, but for transparency, I'm also president of the Porter County Council. I've got some pros and cons in regards to this. First, the pros, union jobs. Let's face it, union jobs pay good wages. These guys go to school, do a job that's, let's face it, they went to school, they know how to do what they know how to do, as opposed to somebody who is brought in by a contractor who, like example, I talked to an individual who's actually a union individual working out at New Carlisle and said more than half the people there are non-union. I would like to see, if this passes, that you have every job that's out there that should be union, flat out, okay? Number one. Number two, it will help with the tax base. Talking $10 million, SB1 is put a real crimp on us, okay? Number three, you say jobs after will be high paying. I pray God so. I met with you guys in December, along with myself, by phone, Red Stone, Eddie Morales was president, and Jim Biggs. And you mentioned about doing a park, possibly, which would be kind of nice for the community. Now, on the downside, the majority of people you see here, they don't want it. Okay? Duneland and Valpo had data centers, and they turned them down. Okay? Remember this. Through the years, I've seen a lot of elections, and people are always going, oh, what should we do? And they would say, wait, South County numbers haven't come in. That's because we vote, folks. The corridor, I can't even read my own handwriting. Bottom line is this. There's some pros and cons to this, okay? But understand this. Everybody who has one of these, streaming device, TV, it is your part of the system here. As for me, I live in South County, and if it comes to me for a vote for an abatement, my answer is no.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Hello, my name is Jerry Ernie. I'm a resident of Union Township. I'm also a 38-year member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I know a lot about electricity, and I can tell you, sir, that the lines of flux are devastating. They damage your brain, they damage my pacemaker, they damage my heart, my kidneys, my liver, and every part of my body. You are not supposed to live in lines of flux. It will kill you. You will drive our property values down. You will consume every kilowatt that NIPSCO can produce. These things consume one thing, all of the electricity they can get. It will drive our prices up. The sound pollution, the lines of flux will be detrimental to livestock. Most importantly, our educators and our most valuable students who will be subjected to this abuse constantly. I am so upset that this is even being considered. These people are here to consume all of our electricity, drive down my property values, destroy the animal in the local areas. You can't have a dog. You can't have a chicken. You can't have a hamster. And it's not doing your head any good either. We do not want it. Do not even bring it here. Okay.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Lisa Doherty. I'm the CEO of the Center of Workforce Innovations. My organization is the workforce development intermediary for Northwest Indiana. We are actually located here in Valpo. I'm here today just to share some data with you. One of our roles beyond operating the public workforce system is to connect job seekers with employers, help employers upskill their employees. We also provide local market labor data. And we're often involved in the recruitment along with economic development partners. And when we look at the data around data centers, this is what we see. They can significantly impact economic growth and prosperity in the communities where they are established. Now, this data center, I'm just going to go with the average. Let's say it employs 150 employees right within the data center itself. There are additional jobs that are created, ancillary jobs, about 1,200. Okay, those jobs combined are estimated to have a $20 million increase in earnings for those data center individuals, and the change in taxes is going to be more than $1 million. Again, just there. But I also want you to think about the other sectors, and I'm thinking about the larger community, the other sectors, industries that come as a result of the data center. Government agencies, financial institutions, healthcare organizations, e-commerce, educational institutions, content providers, because they're all using that data. And these are good paying jobs. We haven't even talked yet about the construction jobs, which for that specific property may be temporary, but all of these other businesses are going to need skilled labor as well.
Okay, your time's up. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melissa Reed, Center Township, Valparaiso. I'm here for the group Stop Duneland Valparaiso Wheeler Data Centers. It just keeps rolling. I'd like a few more than 2 minutes, with your permission. Regarding what the gentlemen have said about transparency and trying to make sure we all know exactly what's happening, I'd like to speak to 3 quick things. Noise, there is no local county noise ordinance. So when you say you're going to obey the law, it doesn't exist. You're asking for 75 decibels, 60 or 50 is normal residential level. That excludes any emergencies, and it excludes 2 to 3 years of construction. That's a huge, nasty mess in the middle of a residential area. Secondly, you said you're 2,000 feet now to the school. with a new 500 setback. And by the way, thanks for that day and a half, couple hours notice of all these changes that we last minute got to take work off some people to even read them. But you say 2,000 feet now to the school, except you omitted the part about the 6.5 acre power generating station that sits immediately backed up to the railroad tracks. So I don't know how that's better than being 2,000 feet to the school. You just heard the testimonies about the dangers of these power generating stations. Thirdly, you said you're not using groundwater for cooling. Heavy industrial, which this is going to require, new city, which doesn't exist yet, facilities, sewer and water. So if you're not using groundwater, you're getting it from the lake. So even though you're not taking groundwater, who is going to be impacted by a pipeline for you to get as many millions of gallons of water that you need for your cooling systems and to replenish them when they are used up? And that still does not stop the effect of taking that much water out of the nearshore waters in Lake Michigan, which is only going to contribute to the decline of its environmental condition. To start on Jeremiah A, which I did today, quickly, I want to start with number 1, the summary intent, item 1, which is where you lost me, because I feel like you're insulting everybody here to say that these locations have minimal impact. They maybe have minimal impact for you, where you live, not next to a school, not living by them, not farming by them, not having neighborhood parties by them. You're asking to set an extremely dangerous precedence for our hometown here, and our townships, our schools, and our quality of life.
Your 5 minutes are up. So. Yeah, it's 5, 2, okay, good. We give you 5. Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it.
3 more.
And we know that once one comes in, you guys run in packs. We're going to have 3 or 4 in this county. It's just how you've done everywhere. The only place you didn't do it is in your own hometown of Overland, Kansas, where you actually put these next to airport runways, immediately next to them in a proper industrial park. That's the only time you haven't messed everybody up. You say you're going to abide by the ORD, or the ordinances, and 75-foot height. Well, it's a little tricky. It's really not 75. You're asking for 97.5 all the way to the top. That's visibly what people see. It's not 75. We see 97.5, which is even in violation of heavy industrial 80-foot. And what's curious in this little scale drawing, we finally got a scale put to it for your architectural elevation. First floor is 20 feet, middle floor is 20 feet, third floor, 28 feet, total 88 or 90. Fine, that's within your 97.5. And no, I did not misspeak. You're asking for enough height to represent 3 floors, but your drawings only show 2. So that's bait and switch number 1. Why are you asking for so much higher than what the drawings are showing that you submitted on Friday as good faith of your transparency? Each building, 11 on B by the school and 7 on A on 750, are each going to be around 600,000 square feet. And this is how we like to do things here. That's 5 Valparaiso Walmarts. Altogether, each building, 3 buildings high. I don't know how you call that minimal impact. And it violates the ordinance. You're talking about environmental concerns. You mentioned in the Jeremiah A that you're going to preserve the wetlands. Well, actually, what you mean to say is you're not going to build on unstable, unbuildable ground. So great, I'm glad to hear that, because I'm not sure how many people in this room remember Chesterton High School and what happened to that when it was building on fairly stable, but not quite stable enough ground. And Jeremiah A looks exactly like that to me. If you drive by Chesterton and the surrounding wooded areas of the high school, looks just like that. So how many soil tests are you going to do for a building that big? And you want to talk about environmental. Let's talk about flammable
ma'am,
storage.
your 5 minutes are up. Thank you. Thank you. Your turn.
All right, I'm going to try and hustle through this. My name is Liz, and I live in Union Township. Say I remembered this time, guys. First and foremost, once we change these rural residential zones to industrial, there is no going back. And that is something that is critical for our agricultural and residential community. Industrial will continue to bring more industrial. You're not going to waste a perfectly good prime spot and just continue building further into Porter County for no reason. The uncontrolled and sprawling of Lake County is going to continue to carry into our quiet Porter County communities. And I also wanted to say on a note, I live in a union family. I am from a union family. My partner is in the union. My partner comes from a union family. 90% of the people probably in this room are somehow tied to a union. None of us are against unions. But I did want to say, and a reminder, and people have been so cruel and so mean about it because they don't understand it's not in their backyard. These same industries put food on our tables also, and we're not against that. But I just wanted to remind everyone that these are temporary jobs, and there is no guarantee that local union labor is going to be used. QTS themselves called for sleeping, restroom, and shower facilities in their initial plans submitted to the county. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound local to me. Regardless, the people of this community are allowed to be concerned about this proposal. This is a life-changing event for the unions of Porter County and the unions of Union Township. And I just wanted to touch on briefly, I know Andy talked about the other there's 3 proposals that have already been shut down. Those were 1/4 of the size or smaller than this proposal. This is 800 acres, guys. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Shorewood, but that is almost the exact same size as the entire Shorewood area. So we're not comparing apples to apples here. And everybody wants to talk about, for some reason, this tiny little data center that's been in Portage forever in the Ameriplex complex. That entire complex is 1/2 of the size. And it has 40 businesses and restaurants in it. So imagine what we could do with double that, or they could do with double that. Are you cutting me off? I'll abide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'll try to stand up. Hi, my name is Angela Furistic. Also, it used to be Angela Smith. So I have lived in this community my entire life. I currently live in the town of Wheeler. So we were cut off from our federal mail when the post office box was shut down because of unsafe conditions for the worker over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. I have had to drive 5 miles to go get my mail if I want to get it. That's just a whole other issue because I have 3 kids, one with special needs that I have been fighting the school system since the moment I entered it in 2020 because I wanted to homeschool him and I wasn't confident in the school's ability to handle my child. Not their jobs. I was worried about them handling my child. But I trusted people. I made a mistake. I went and I do what I do, which is try to fix my mistake and see where I went wrong. I just kept making more mistakes, and then I realized I was never the problem 30 years ago. My son was never the problem when he started to get in trouble at school. So what did I do? I told him if he goes back to 2nd grade, I'll go back and get a master's degree, okay? I wanted a master's degree in business because I have a business brain. I think in profit. But unfortunately, my soul or whatever's in there goes by these integrity, character, trust, family, faith, and community. We have all of those here, so we don't need you. And I work in real estate, so I got my license in January of 2020 because I was at that point that I was ready to upgrade my home that I bought in 2014 because a 900 square foot house with 3 kids, I only had 2 at the time, was not functioning very well. But unfortunately for me, the housing prices have over the roof. So that wasn't a possibility unless, things changed. But I went back to school and I studied housing affordability and the bigger issues and the root causes of those issues. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up because I'm only 38. I'm not a grown-up yet. You guys are grown-ups in my mind.
Your time's up, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'm speaking for 5. Do I have 5 minutes?
Thank you.
Well, I'm speaking for my company, which is Smith Roots Development. I'm doing a company which I just started. I have 0 profits. I am nowhere near This is a shell company that I started in February of 2025 because I opposed the Willow Creek Extension Road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're on.
Hi. My name is Atlas Fugate. I'm a senior at Wheeler High School. I just want to say that data centers run on non-renewable, pollutive resources. They say that they're not going to use our groundwater, but they're using very vague language that doesn't make me trust them. Prioritize carbon-free, reduce water consumption. There are no statistics that you're giving. What water are you saving? What water are you recycling that you're saying you're recycling? Data centers now have a greater carbon footprint than the airline industry. This is what you're putting in our community. You say you prioritize community, but you are being shady about your facts, about your statistics. A single data center can consume the equivalent electricity of 50,000 homes. Valparaiso has 34,000 people. You are consuming more energy than the town itself. Data centers consume more water also than the entirety of Valparaiso, which is between 3 to 5 million gallons per day. You are taking away my future. You are taking away the future of these Little League baseball teams that you want to say you're helping. You're taking away the future of your children, your grandchildren, and all of the kids in Valpo. You are destroying our community, and you're placing your own corporate greed over the real people that have lived here for their entire lives. And you won't even look at me while I'm talking. You can turn your heads. You don't care about us. You can put as many American flags as you want on the building. You don't care about us.
Good evening. My name is Susan Thomas. I'm the Director of Policy and Press for Just Transition Northwest Indiana. I live in Porter County. Porter County and Lake County both just received an F for air pollution quality from the American Lung Association. What is going to feed this behemoth data center? They're going back to oil and gas and coal. We have desperately been trying to get away from coal in Indiana, which is full of toxic coal ash. We have been desperately trying to move toward renewables. And now we hear from NIPSCO this year, they're not going to close down the generating station in Michigan City because they might convert it to natural gas again, and it might go back to coal. This would be a disaster for Indiana, which has some of the worst air quality in the United States. Mr. NIPSCO, I was at many of these rate hike hearings this year where people were crying and pleading for their bills not to go up. School administrators, folks working at the food pantry. My bill alone for a teeny tiny home is $400 a month. I can't go higher. I do not trust you. You poisoned the entire town of Pines. I do not trust you. You are working hand in hand with those who seek to destroy our communities. Lastly, data centers are obsolete. If anyone has followed the news, in January, who crashed the stock market? DeepSeek. They're doing the same thing as ChatGPT for 1/10 of the power for $6 million as opposed to $100 million. This is a scam on the highest order benefiting oil and gas. Lastly, Google has pulled out hundreds of millions of completed land deals in Minnesota, Texas, and California. They see the writing on the wall. These are obsolete. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Karen. I'm a resident of Union Township. Thank you for opening this up to everybody. I understand this is not an answer, but I want to posit some questions to you, so hopefully at the next commission meeting we'll have some additional answers. I don't know if they're on your website. I want to know, this build, are you operating under your SEC filing as QTS? Are you operating under Volt Upper Holdings, LLC, which is based on Wacker Drive in Chicago, or as CSC, which is also in your Kansas? I want to know which company I'm speaking to. As far as your LLC filings, the water table is a big concern of mine. I am only a few doors down from the south site, just over the railroad tracks, and all you say, you'll bring it, or you'll contain your own water, ship it out, recycle it, bring it back. However, I worry about contamination from runoff, how that will affect my water table. Will you pay for testing every month? If it shows there's been contamination, will you then pull up my well, put in good water? Will you follow that to ensure I have good water? There's also something called land subsidence, which creates essentially your land starts to sink because you've been pulling from too much groundwater and it cannot hold the weight, and that can cause flooding. So that's another concern. Also, NOAA recently, because you would be pulling from the Great Lakes region, had 68% of their staff cut because of the current administration, so they cannot do all the water table tests that they normally do to look for the toxic algae blooms. So your building a data center could cripple what is already going to be a long-standing thing. Going on to the power grids, there are 7 big power grids that run our country. The 2 that affect our area is the MISO and the PJM. PJM in Illinois alone has 93 active data centers and 49 projected or being built data centers. MISO only has 3. During peak consumption...
Your time's up.
That's not 5 minutes.
No, 2 minutes.
2, 3?
2.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. 2 minutes, yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi there, I currently live in Center Township. I represent multifamily farms. I wanted to comment that we live in the center of an agricultural area with many wetlands dispersed throughout. Many of us live in these communities because of the lifestyle. We enjoy the outdoors. We enjoy the peace and quiet. Many of us hunt and fish. We like hiking. We like outdoor activities. I speak on behalf of most of the farmers and the community members when I say we're tired of industry coming in and stealing our land and our lifestyles in the name of monetary, quote, progress. Most people don't want this kind of an industry here because it will open the door to additional industry. And where does it stop? How much land will be stolen? If you wouldn't want this bright, noisy, disgusting eyesore built in your backyard, then you shouldn't be advocating it for it to be built in the backyard of someone else. Data centers across America have led to many of these complaints, as mentioned by many others today, especially our electrical professional who spoke earlier. Lower quality of life, energy fluctuations, which can cause house fires, water pollution, bird migration changes. And despite your goal to soften the visual over an entire decade, it will be a major eyesore. One of the major problems being, history shows that once industry gets their foot in the door, they no longer consider how the community feels, what promises were made, or what the community's needs are. What's done is done. The pollution is there, and the industry moves on. In relation to energy usage and effects upon the communities, it's ironic that thousands of NIPSCO customers recently experienced the longest power outage since the 1990s after leadership changed lineman overtime benefits due to the emergency status. I can only assume that's connected to private equity and the newest partner corporation. Please stop hopping around to different communities in Northwest Indiana to push this industry onto its citizens. We stand united. We will continue to show up, regardless of where your next proposal pops up. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Carol Needham, and I am a descendant of, I'm I'm not used to that. Martin Conrad Craft Farms. Yeah. So anyway, 2 points. First of all, I'm going to go back to the beginning. The people that want to sell their property to this conglomerate. Johnson's Farm. I don't know if everybody knows, but this is Johnson's Fruit Market people, where we've all purchased stuff from. And I say boycott them if they end up doing that. Boycott them. What was the other thing? You got me nervous. Stop. I'm sorry, I forgot now. Darn it. Johnson's Fruit Market. Well, here, go kids. And then I'll try and remember. Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Gigi Broach, and I'm a third grader at John Simonovich Elementary School, and I live in Salt Creek. I just wanted to say that I don't think it is the best idea to build a data center so close to where people live and go to school. I live near where it's going to be, and it makes me a little worried about me, my sister, my mom, and my friends' health. I get that we need data and internet and everything, but maybe it would be better if it was built somewhere a little farther away where it wouldn't be so close to the neighbors and schools. I know people say it will bring jobs, but it might also make it hard for some families around here too. Hi, I don't think it's really fair to build a big data center so close where people live and go to school. Some of my friends might have to move, and it makes me kind of sad to think about not seeing them just because a company wants to make more money. And yeah, I get it, we all need internet and Wi-Fi and stuff, but it feels like they could build it somewhere else where it wouldn't bother people or hurt the air. Some people say it's bringing jobs, but only a few. And way more people might lose money if they have to move and can't sell their house. Nobody wants to live next to a huge data center.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I remembered what it was. You guys want to put this data center. I think we deserve the respect for you all to turn around and look in our eyes.
Hi, my name is Cindy Finnick, and I live off a county line. And every day I go down county line to 450 to Sedley. And the thing, I'm not going to repeat what everybody else has repeated, but what I want to point out is you're taking away our big open spaces. It doesn't matter that you put up some trees and some shrubs. You're taking away all this wide open spaces, which is just calming to everybody. And it's going to definitely affect the prices of people that live there. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
My name's Tom Walsh. I live in Wheeler. My name is Tom Walsh. I live in Wheeler. I have been for a couple of decades now. I like my tech. I think we all do. They have to have these data centers in order for us to experience our great tech evolution. It's going to go somewhere. What is Wheeler going to get out of it? You said tax revenue. How long's the abatement? It could be 10 years before we see a nickel of that. What can Wheeler get? Parks, I think was mentioned. That'd be nice. Tell you what'd be even nicer is a post office. And I have a question maybe on the next meeting. Is it immersion cooling or evaporative cooling? I know the two have two completely different components based on water usage. And from what I understand, a large solar field can power you during the day? Is that a possibility? I know at night there would definitely be peaks for our great friend NIPSCO. But that's really my only questions and statement I'd like to make. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Pull the mic down. There you go. Thank you.
This is not my forte. My name is Emily Rogowski. I live in Porter County, Union Township. School system, my kids are third generation. Sorry. I know this has been said before at a meeting, but I just want to reiterate it because I thought it was a very good point. No one would approve a school being built this close to a data center. So why are you building a data center this close to our schools? Also, so the lifespan of a data center is 10 to 15 years. What are you doing with our land, with our area when it closes? What are you doing with it? Do you have a plan? I haven't seen one. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Commission members and Mr. Jabo, thank you particularly for holding this forum. I think it's really important to be able to ask questions and have them, I know they'll be answered by the company. I'm Heather Ennis. I'm President and CEO of the Northwest Indiana Forum. We are the 7-county economic development organization. I was born and raised here in Northwest Indiana. After I graduated from Purdue, I moved away and then decided to call Northwest Indiana my home. It has been my job for the last 17 years to try and attract investment that can help raise per capita income, help attract population, and to attract taxes to our community. I have a 20-year-old son, and as we try and evolve the economy of Northwest Indiana, I want jobs that are high-tech, high-paying jobs to continue to add to the infrastructure and the opportunities that we have here in Northwest Indiana. I want my child's children to be able to come back to Northwest Indiana and be able to be provided opportunity to work and have a great existence here. This might not be the project for Northwest Indiana, but it is important that we conduct ourselves in a civil manner, that we listen to all of the sides to everything, that we attract that type of investment, and that we do it because the world is watching. And maybe this isn't the opportunity for you, but the next opportunity will see this. And if we do not act in a civil and great manner for these types of projects, then the world will stop looking at us and investment will continue to pass us by. These types of projects are at the gold rush stage for investment happening right now. And so if we let these opportunities pass us by, there will not be another opportunity to regain that type of momentum.
Okay,
Again, I understand that it might not be what you want, but I do appreciate the opportunity to be able to hear the project, listen to the project, and attract the type of investment for our Northwest Indiana region.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for being so polite.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Angela Bannon. I live in Union Township. I grew up in Valpo, but as a young adult, I married and built in 1998, and I consider myself a Bearcat. Viking no more. My daughters, both of them, graduated from Union. My pride and joy, my grandson, is getting ready to go into junior high right next to this place that you propose. And he wants to play sports. He has a talent for athletics. He wants to be out there. He wants to be outside. He loves to learn. But this is going to destroy his brain, like first gentleman who was not from a corporate that we all love. He stated that these pulses, they might not emit sounds, but they emit vibration. I look around the room and I see people with autoimmune diseases. I see ocular hearing aids. I see regular hearing aids. how is this going to affect them? How is it going to affect me, who is literally spending thousands of dollars to heal my body? And I want to stay where I'm at. I don't want to become sicker again. I want my third generation grandson to be able to go to the school, play with no fears. He fears going out to play in the ball field because he knows that it's not going to be good. He has a little bit of asthma, so all the construction dust and the dirt and everything is going to affect him. We live in a rural area. We're not farmers for that reason, but my neighbors are, and we're all a community together. And you can say that this building is going to look great in 10 years, or even 20, but I might not be alive to see it. And I know a lot of these other old generation people will not either. And it doesn't matter how much makeup you put on an ugly face. When you take it off, it's still ugly.
All right, your time's up, so thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Wow. My name is Victoria Voller, and I chose to live in Porter County 60 years ago, so I'm old. There's no question about that. I'm married to Don McAuliffe. He was born and raised in Union Township, and he was a Wheeler High School graduate and a retired sheet metal worker, also a farmer. So this is my home. I love it. Today I'm here to speak on behalf of those who cannot speak, and I want to ask you by raising your hand, how many of you in here have pets at home? Wow, that's great. Okay. I have been on the board of directors for the Humane Society of Northwest Indiana for 17 years. It's what I chose to do in my retirement. And I have placed a lot of dogs and cats in the right homes at the right time with the right people. And what I'm going to say now is that pets have, and I think you all know this, a sense of smell that is 1,000 times better than ours, and a sense of hearing that is up into 200 to 300 times better than ours. Whatever you're going to be doing at this data center that we can't hear, they will be able to hear. There is a contact that we have at the Veterinary Orthopedic Center in Highland, and she is already talking about the problems that we're going to have with our animals because of this data center the data center trying to locate in a neighborhood when Indiana has all kinds of brownfields. Go there.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Schaefer, and I, like many in this room, am a lifelong resident of Porter County.
Are you representing yourself or a group? Are you fighting?
That'll depend if you try and cut me off. And not only am I a lifelong resident of Porter County, I'm a lifelong resident of Union Township in particular. I attended Union Township Elementary School, Union Township Middle School, and I graduated from Wheeler High School in 2001, the school that all these people are here to protect. Now, Union Township provides a special way of living, a life filled with open spaces, away from the congestion, the factories, and the big industry that makes city life unenjoyable and even unhealthy. Union Township offers the families and the kids of this community a place to watch a football game during an evening sunset, or a baseball game where the entire community is invited to cheer on their team as they do battle at their new baseball facility. This school campus is truly something beautiful, something this community is very proud of. But all of that can and will be changed if this commission does not make the right choice. If you do not follow the fiduciary obligation rooted in public trust, ethical governance, and statutory duties, if you do not listen to the people of this community, the images of those beautiful sunsets and the sprawling landscapes will be replaced by dozens of 75-foot to 100-foot tall buildings, towering above the children, their football fields, and their baseball fields. Now, I'll caution the commission that while all the comments and explanations from QTS here today attempt to answer a few of our concerns, please take that with a grain of salt. You know, what about the noise? Didn't hear much about cooling, right? What about light pollution? The power stations we heard of. The well water, right? Pollution. We didn't hear much about that today. It wouldn't be the first time that a corporation has claimed that something is safe, that something is healthy, or something that's good for a community, despite the fact that it's not true. I'll remind you of a few perfect examples of this type of corporate manipulation that many of you have lived through yourselves. Most of you remember the 60s and 70s when the tobacco industry was able to hire doctors to come into court and testify under oath that smoking doesn't cause cancer. They presented studies by experts and doctors to support them. They doubled down on this in the 90s by testifying before Congress that nicotine wasn't addictive. But we know all that is false. We know the tobacco industry has left hundreds of thousands of people fighting cancer, fighting for their lives, all so they could make a little bit of money. Who's to say QTS isn't doing the same thing? Let's look at present day. Everyone here has heard of Roundup, the weed killer, right? Well, that's produced by Monsanto. They are currently in litigation where substantial evidence has been presented in the court of law showing that Monsanto, like many other corporations before it, have actively covered up cancer risks associated with Roundup. And despite this, corporations like Monsanto keep fighting, while communities like ours, communities filled with farmers, deal with the life-changing effects of corporate greed. Now, I will give you these examples as a testament to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, the corporations proposing these projects don't have our best interest in mind, that they don't actually have all the answers, and that it will be too late for this community if you do not make the right choice. If a data center is so great for a community, ask yourself this question. Do the corporate CEOs and COOs and CFOs and the decision makers at QTS that want to put this in our community next to our schools and our neighborhoods, did they build one next to their child's school? Did they build one next to their neighborhood? I'd submit to you the answer is no. And in conclusion, I would circle back to your fiduciary obligation rooted in that public trust. This community, Union Township, has spoken that we do not approve of this project. But more importantly, Porter County as a whole has spoken, having rejected 3 different proposals of data centers throughout this county. I implore you, listen to the people, listen to your people, and do not approve their request for a PUD. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to make everybody happy and make this short and sweet. My name is Diana LaFoon, and all 3 of my children graduated from Union Township Wheeler Schools. The one thing I haven't heard all night tonight was, what about the traffic when this is being built? Are they going to come down my rural road all night and day long building this data center? Well, I don't care about them. I care about me. I'm on a rural road with horse stables all around me, and we're on a quiet little road. But do we have a traffic implement already set in place for this? Is anybody thinking about that in the future, of how much traffic this is going to bring into our community? I have a Union Township school bus going down my street every day, and if I'm going to have speeders right behind them passing the guardrail, the handout, that's one thing I haven't heard anything tonight is about the traffic that this is going to bring, and for how many years is it going to be bringing it in?
Thank you.
That's it. I said short and sweet.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Turpin. I'm a Union Township resident and a beekeeper. I would like to ask if anybody has considered what this data center would do to our bee population, if there's been any studies or consideration on that. Increased heat, noise pollution, air emissions, changes in landscape, and electromagnetic fields. Studies suggest that electromagnetic fields negatively impact bee navigation, communication, and colony health. I would like you to know there is negative impact on many levels. Without the bees, we don't need a data center. I can tell you that right now.
Thank you. Okay, sir.
My name is Chris Nevada. I'm a resident of Union Township, and my family attends Wheeler High School or Wheeler schools. I've heard a lot of talk about side effects and that kind of thing. I have a couple questions for the Planning Commission, and I would ask you to investigate both of these, please. First of all, this is very close to the shuttered Wheeler dump that was shuttered in 1992. Closed in 92, populated under a much looser environmental restriction, much looser environmental restrictions. As a community, we demand to know what potential hazards or disturbances of disturbing this land is going to cause when we start digging up a shuttered dump from 40 years ago. Secondly, and this is, I understand we're not allowed to ask them questions or else I would ask them directly, but these are for you guys to please investigate. The second one is I've heard a lot of this, the fluid or the coolant or whatever. Now, I understand it's self-contained. I understand that it's supposedly green. What we have not been explained is how does this green recycled material, first of all, what is it? Is it a biohazard? Is it hazardous waste? What is its classification? And how does it leave that facility? Does it leave the facility past my son's school? Does it pass the school bus he's on? That is what the questions that we need to ask. What are we inviting into our community? Hazardous. What hazards are we bringing in? And please investigate both of those, because I have not heard one peep about either one of them. And I'd like to use just the few seconds I have left to ask you, please, look at this community. I grew up outside the area. I moved here for this, and I've never been more proud of Wheeler. I've never been more proud of Union Township than I am right now. Look at this. These are your neighbors. These are your neighbors. These are your constituents. Make the right decision.
Members of the Commission, my name is Dewey Pearman. I'm Executive Director of the Construction Advancement Foundation of Northwest Indiana. We are a 7-county Northwest Indiana contractor trade association. We represent approximately 500 non-residential contractors that work in the Northwest Indiana market. Those contractors employ over 20,000 skilled union craftsmen in our communities throughout the 7 counties. I believe your objectives here this evening are being realized. You clearly stated at the beginning that your objective was to get expressions of concern and comments and questions on the table so you could continue a dialogue with QTS about those concerns. I think the people in this room have done an outstanding job in setting that table. We hope you will continue to engage in dialogue with the company to see if those concerns can be addressed, and would encourage you to move the process forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Richard Orlip, a 37-year resident of Union Township on 450, right where this is. Been to this board numerous times. 5 times I've actually got up and spoke to the board. 2 of those times was where I had neighbors, 2 different neighbors, wanting to change the zoning of their property, their land, so that they could turn around and run a small business on their property. Each time I was opposed to it. Basic reason was that not necessarily the one what his business was, but my question was, okay, you approve it this time, what's going to happen next time? Both times I have to sit there and say, the little independent person was told no. Now we have a $1 billion company coming. So what are we going to say yes to them? Past precedence has been on this exact area. One is within probably 400 yards of this property. Was told no, no zoning change. So my comment is, we've already set precedents before saying no. Keep it that way. We don't need it. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jim Needham, and I'm a new resident here to Union Township. My wife spoke previously, or at least she tried to, but she got her point across. But anyway, originally I'm from Buffalo, New York, and a couple of things I want to discuss is about the economic forum, where she said big business, we need business and everything. I see carpetbaggers is what I see. Okay? Being from Buffalo, New York, well, here's what I want to say. As we navigate through this new era of AI, and we all need AI, we know that, but there's a place for everything and everything in its place. This is not the place for that, okay? All right? It's worth remembering the lessons of previous ready, fire, aim philosophies. Eric Bragovich, right? There was an incident there, right? I lived across the river of Niagara River at the Love Canal. That was Dow Chemical, a waste dump that was just previously spoke about. What's in there exactly, okay? You don't know, okay? Endeavors involving utilities like this and the limit of power and the ongoing importance of moral clarity. I'm addressing the board and the commissioners on this. It's often obscured by the fog of immense profit and greed. There's good, sound reasons, and there's reasons that sound good. Make the right choice.
Hi, my name is Colin McNamara. I am an aquatic manager. I have been in this area for 35 years, moved here to live in the country. I'm about a mile south of where this is going in. I'm very concerned about what this is going to do to the aquatic environments around there, the wetlands, the ponds, and I know you say it's a closed loop system. Does it ever leak? Is there any chance that this would ever have to be dumped in an emergency? It has to be hauled out. Now, I know that everything that falls on the ground and goes into the air eventually ends up in our aquatic environment. So a plant this size, even the construction of it, is damaging to the aquatic environment, even if you take every effort to keep it clean. I have another concern about the noise, and I'm not talking about the generators that kick on with no load every month to check. I'm talking about the constant hum, and studies have shown that this disturbs wildlife. And I love the wildlife out here. I'm sure everybody else does. You know, if the deer and the turkeys are going to move away from this area around this plant, what's this doing to our children that are going to school? 2,000 feet is only a few football fields away. So it's very close to where my grandchildren go to school and everybody else's kids here. So yes, I'm concerned about the noise and the pollution to our water systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Chuck Reagan. I've lived in proximity of the Wheeler landfill since 1976. Most of you people probably don't remember the PALS organization that was developed in Union Township by Susan Greer and her husband Warren. They own the property that you're talking about now. They never sold it. They're long gone. Now, what we have here is another situation. Waste Management, another multinational company that wanted to develop that into a landfill completely back to where you're talking about, all the way. They wanted it all. And the only thing that stopped them is we rallied enough in Union Township to say, we want water, we want sewers, and we want a tax abatement. Now, I went to the courthouse, and there is no record of that, by chance, but I know for a fact in the 80s, or I'm sorry, in the 90s, my taxes were abated 10% because of the proximity of that dump. The mountain off of 130 is the old Wheeler landfill. It had the same repercussions as the 49er drive-in. A big company come in and we're going to take it. It's free. The land is cheap. But they never had any consideration of the people there. Now, my only concern for this is we started that process because the people in Wheeler and the people along my community road, 600 north there and 130, you couldn't drive for the dust and the garbage bags. And that's not an understatement. 24 hours a day, they were lined up at 6 o'clock in the morning from Chicago to bring stuff in there. It is noisy. I don't know how long this project is going to last, but these things are not figured out by these corporations that just come, we're going to do this. It's cheap land. There's a reason it's cheap, because nobody's wanted to develop it till now. Now we have to have something like that. We already got Enbridge pipelines all over that county, all over Union Township. They're all over the place.
All right, thank you. Your time's up. Thank you.
All right. I just want to make one more statement. This board needs to understand that people live here. People, not money. Thank you.
My name is Ed Orlando. I'm from Burns Harbor, Indiana. Aligned with you guys as well. Unlike a lot of people in this room, including people on the panel here, I've actually visited several of these hyperscale data centers. They're surrounded by 120-foot tall power lines, not only in the outskirts of the hyperscale data center, but on the inside of the data center. So the question is, are additional power lines going to be needed for this project? Substations all surround the entire properties. Cooling towers, heavy security. So people weren't talking about the security that surrounds it. They were monitoring my car even when I wasn't on the property itself. There's cars that drive around 24/7. The outside of it looks like a prison. I mean, they'll show you the pretty pictures of the few buildings that they'll have that look like office buildings, and those are probably legit, but all the other buildings around there are just heavy industrial, high impact looking, centers. The fact that they're trying to get this passed in a light industrial is kind of adorable. And they mentioned a noise ordinance. Again, I was having a hard time finding the Porter County noise ordinance itself, and they tried to attempt to put one together, which was, light with the 75 decibels, and who's going to be able to monitor that? And if they are monitoring it, what's going to be the penalty? Are they just going to pay $2,500, which they could easily do, or are they going to cease operation if they are in fact causing you guys damage? The 75 dBA is not going to protect you guys. That's pretty loud. Typical noise ordinances are 55 to 60 dBAs, and then also if they're so confident on the frequencies, they could also put an ordinance in there on the DBC level, which could also be 50, which would protect you guys a lot more. So again, I mean, if you guys want some ideas on a real ordinance, I'm talking to the Porter County members. Give me a call, because I've actually got something that will protect these people.
Okay, sir, your time's up. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Malone, and I'm a resident of Porter County. Growing up as a resident and graduate of Union Township schools, I can tell you that Union Township is a special place with close-knit community members who love our community and our schools. As a proud graduate and now a teacher within the district, I can attest to the strong sense of safety, peace, and community that defines Union Township. The environment that Union Township has created is built on inclusion, compassion, collaboration, and responsibility, where every voice matters and every contribution strengthens the whole. This is why the issue is so important, not just for tonight, but for the future of our children and our community. Tonight, we are here to listen, to engage, and to stand together in opposition to the proposed construction of a data center. While I understand and support technological advancement, placing a facility of this magnitude near our community raises serious concerns. Data centers are known to require immense amounts of electricity and water, generate significant noise pollution from cooling equipment, and often operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. These factors disrupt the peace and character of nearby neighborhoods and, more importantly, of our schools. As I took tickets at our track meets last week, I watched families arrive with excitement to support their children, grandchildren, and friends. I was reminded of how vital these after-school events are to our community. They're not just athletic competitions or performances. They're moments of connection, pride, and shared experience. The presence of a data center near our schools would change that atmosphere. Increased traffic noise and safety concerns could make it harder for families to access these events comfortably or discourage them from attending altogether. It is important that we consider how this development could disrupt the sense of ease, joy, and community that families currently enjoy at these gatherings. Additionally, the likely reduction in nearby property values makes this development even more concerning. Our families move to our neighborhoods for our schools and our sense of community. Would you feel comfortable sending your child or grandchild to a school that is located less than 2,000 feet away from a data center? These values, safety, peace, and community, are at the heart of who we are, and that is why the proposed data center raises concerns. Its presence threatens to disrupt the very qualities that make this area so special, potentially compromising the safe and quiet learning environment that our families, students, and staff count on every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Biggs, you might want to put the phone down and listen to your constituents as I see you scrolling through all your photos over there.
No, sir, no personal tax. No personal tax. He might be reading about data centers. Yeah.
So
No,
I think
go ahead.
I think a lot of people here have been through a lot between all the Burns Harbor, Chesterton, Valparaiso now. Porter County has been under attack. We all agree we need these data centers. They're essential for growing. We need the industrial and everything. But these people are here for your money. We all know it. Why are you building next to a school? There's all kinds of cheaper land and better facilities. You're there for the high tension wires. We all know it. Great presentation. Where's all your real data on the EMF waves and all that stuff? You guys didn't address any of that. It was all just sugar-coated stuff. We know, just like the coke plants out there at the mills, at midnight they open up all the stacks, they burn it all off, all the EPA stuff. I've been there, I've worked in there, I know what they do. We know all of big businesses' tricks and everything. And when the commissioners are gonna go on their field trip in their bus to tour a data center, and how you guys are gonna dial it down to where it's nice and calm and running at 20% or whatever, we all get it, we know it. Pick better locations. Every single data center in Porter County, minus the one in Portage, has been the worst placed thing imaginable. Everybody here thinks it's a joke. You guys are sugarcoating it. It's a neighborhood gathering. We're going to talk about it. Go on YouTube for 10, 20 minutes. Everybody knows these things are terrible, and you're going to put it next to a school. And Mr. Vasquez, thank you very much for actually having a spine and giving your position on it, because nobody else here will. And this is America, and we respect the process, and that's why everybody's being respectful here, because of the great American process, and we understand that you are held accountable to it. But you won't even take a position on it? You won't give the people faith? You're disrupting their lives? Having all these kids here, everything, having everybody scared and terrified? You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Hi, I'm Stacy Schmidt, Superintendent of Porter Township School Corporation. I don't think I've ever had Wheeler people clap for me before. So it's a first to thank you, Bearcats. Go Wolves. I'm here representing South County, and you guys have a big land use question in front of you. But you guys know me. I've come to see you a few times lately. And you know the biggest thing that I have on my heart, I've talked to you about it lately, it's school safety. And so as I address you tonight, what I didn't hear tonight in your presentation truly was addressing issues of school safety. I'm not going to pretend that I am a scientific expert on data centers or that I fully understand everything that happens within a data center. I don't. But I do know enough to know that there are safety risks and concerns, and that your proposal puts a data center next to, yes, our arch rivals, the Wheeler Bearcats, but another school system that we care deeply about in South County. And what I didn't hear from you in your presentation was any real mention of safety and security and addressing that. The other thing that I have going for me is that I lived in Kansas City, and so I am very familiar with the amenities in large urban environments. In our South County townships, I know what's available to us in ambulance services, in our volunteer fire departments, and our folks are amazing, but they are township fire departments, and our services are very different than what's available in Kansas City. And so I would ask you to research that, because I believe that the safety that needs to be addressed from what a data center brings and what resources we have available in South County, I believe there are some things lacking in your proposal, some things that would need to be addressed, and especially as we're looking, parents send our most valuable assets, their most valuable, precious things to us, to our school systems, and we don't take that for granted. That's why it keeps me up at night to address school safety, and we need to hear that in this presentation. And so as we're bringing things to you that are concerns that need to be addressed, school safety is one of them, and that's lacking in your presentation, and I hope that you change that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commission, for the opportunity and for hosting this evening. My name is Spencer Summers. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Northwest Indiana Forum. I'm here to express support for advancing the review of the proposed data center project in Porter County. Our local economy has long relied heavily on a limited number of industries, such as manufacturing and heavy metals. We must proactively diversify our region's investments to ensure long-term economic stability and add funding streams such as this to maintain competitiveness for our schools, our jobs, and our county. These projects attract high-paying full-time jobs, and as a young professional born and raised in Porter County, these are the types of job opportunities that myself and my peers are looking for in an area. This presents a great opportunity to keep and attract talent to Porter County and our region. Additionally, these projects add thousands of construction jobs that our skilled laborers are beyond qualified to take advantage of, guaranteeing positions for many years, as well as heavily supporting ancillary organizations such as healthcare, local shops, service organizations, and more, maintaining their viability and growth for years to come. In addition, these investments drive significant upgrades to local infrastructure, from enhancing power and broadband capacity to improving roads and utilities. These are improvements that benefit both residents and businesses alike. I strongly urge the community and decision makers to explore this opportunity thoroughly. These types of investments are critical to driving us forward and are a once-in-a-generation opportunity. It is incumbent upon us to fully evaluate the investment and allow the company the opportunity to understand the county's expectation as this moves forward. Thank you for the opportunity and for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hey, come on. Come on.
Hello. My name is Nikki Moore, and my daughter has attended Union Township schools as a transfer student. My family has been looking to purchase a home within the district, but this has put a halt to that. It's unsettling that you guys don't look at us when we speak to you. I feel that if I was in your shoes, I probably wouldn't want to face the people either. Thank you for doing it. QTS runs over 75 data centers across the country. Their largest site is 99 acres from what I can find. This one's gonna be 800 acres and right next to a school. You sell this to us as standard practice. Can you name one other site where a facility this size was built this close to children? You can't, because it's reckless. Duneland said no, Valpo said no, on down the line. Now it's Union Township's turn. So to Blackstone, no, turn to say no. And to Blackstone, when you head back to your hotels tonight and you're sipping your high-end bourbon and smoking your cigars, I hope you take a moment to think about the families that live here. We're not numbers on a spreadsheet. We are raising our children next to the land that you want to industrialize. We are this community. To Commissioners Bigg and Commissioners Morales, Blackstone will not quit. They'll keep coming back with new angles and more pressure. We're asking you to do what Commissioner Rignitz has already had the courage to do. Say no in this tonight before it goes further. We're not asking for compromise. We're just asking for courage. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me? I could hear the speakers. Is this better? Yeah. I'm Kelias King. I'm an 8th grader student from Union Township Middle School. I did go to JSC for elementary school. I've lived in Salt Creek Commons all my life. I'd rather not have the data center right next to the school in general or at all. And the noise could possibly make somebody insane from a lack of sleep. I already struggle with that. I don't need that anymore, or very more. Another thing is that many of us already have pets, and somebody already said the problem with pets and their hearing, they could deal with that even more than us. That's just healthy for them. With the vibrations, that can mess with somebody's body a lot, and health concerns. By the point that I got told with that is that people under 5 could probably die from that, from the low frequency waves. It's just not very healthy to put it right next to a elementary school and a middle school where people could hear that. That's all.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lee Barnes, and I am the next superintendent of Union Township Schools after Mr. Hunter retires. And I am so thankful that I got to follow Kelias King. I really appreciate and am so proud of the students that have spoken tonight. This is why we are here, for our kids. I have worked in Union Township Schools for 16 years, and when I announced that I would be the next superintendent, I shared something that I know to be true from my 16 years. Union Township is defined by its people. Our educators, our staff, our students, parents, board members, entire community work together to create an exceptional learning environment and communities for families, one rooted in care, connection, and shared responsibility. That's why this issue matters so much. This is why we are here tonight. While we understand and support the importance of technological advancement, placing a high-intensity industrial facility like a data center right next to our schools poses real concerns. The noise has the potential to create a disruptive environment, something no student, family, or teacher should have to work around. The environmental impact: our children spend the majority of their day and often evenings at our schools. We have around 1,500 students and staff attend our schools daily, and that doesn't consider the numerous visitors we have that look forward to attending our events to support our children, our grandchildren, and friends from community and other communities. This has a rippling effect beyond our students and staff. This proposed data center sits right behind Wheeler High School, directly on top of property that includes our football fields, our soccer fields, our baseball fields, softball fields, and track. Spaces that are more than just athletic facilities. They're the heart of our community. I've heard people and elected officials say they wouldn't consider putting an industrial center next to a park where kids and families gather. But this is our park. From morning until evening, these grounds are filled with children playing, teams practicing, and families coming together. Our children deserve to learn, grow, and play in an environment that's not only safe, but healthy and peaceful. The project also will negatively impact property values for families living near our schools, many of whom moved here because of the school system and the close-knit community we've built together. This will affect enrollment. Parents have choices. If families feel our school environment is being compromised by nearby industrial development, they may choose to go elsewhere. That's not just a risk to enrollment, it's a serious risk to our funding, to our staffing, and to the long-term strength of our district. I thank our school board for passing a resolution in opposition of the data center, our community leaders for their strong efforts, and our school community as a whole for showing how deeply our school and staff care for Union Township. It's been powerful and it's been unified, and we won't stop. I'm going to repeat what someone else had already said because it's so simple yet so powerful. Our current superintendent, Mr. Hunter, stated at a commissioners meeting, and I'm paraphrasing his words, if he as a superintendent were to come to the commissioners asking for approval to build a school next to an industrial center, it would never be considered. So why again would we ever consider approving the construction of a data center next to or near our school? I know that in this presentation, it was talked about values and trying to align with our values. We value our students and our families and our communities. This is not the place for this data center.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Sandy Hill. I live on 650 West. I'm one of the 2 homes that are blocked in by this. This has already affected my health. I have epilepsy. And some of my triggers are sleep deprivation, migraines, and stress. What does this cause? Stress and sleep deprivation. So without this even being built, it's already affecting my health. My husband is a local 150 operating engineer. He said even if it brings jobs, it's temporary if they don't hire scabs. If they hire 150 members, it's short term, and guess what? They go right back onto the list. I don't know if you guys have heard, but in New Carlisle, at their data center, they just had a fire. One person died on the spot, and the other one was airlifted and is still in critical condition. I know this because my brother unfortunately had to go there and work. I have a friend in North Dakota. He had the same issue. He lives there and has a data center right behind his home. He said he works in the oil field. He goes there, hears noise. What's he do? He comes home, hears noise, has the lights. So when they tell you there's no noise, there's no lights, they're lying. This is right behind my home. I'm not going to get any sleep. Neither are my parents because I take care of them. Lastly, someone made the comment, someone had told me, if they offered you money, would you leave? No, because I don't want this for anyone else. I'm not abandoning my community. This is my home. You guys are my home. You guys are my family. And lastly, I don't know if you know this, but Johnson is willing to get rid of their home, so they don't want it in their background. Where are they now? They're not here. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
You're fine.
My name is Chris Brzezinski. I am a third generation resident of Union Township. And currently I live actually in Winfield. Part of that I'll explain. But I work for a large technology company that has over 100 data centers across the world. And I bring this up because I think it's important to understand some of the misconceptions that have been brought up. I've been to all of those data centers. I want to give you a little bit of a view into how the things I've seen and some of the stats at our data centers. We have a data center in Chicago that pulls as much electricity as the entire city of Naperville. So when you consider to the senior that brought up the large amount of electricity coming into essentially farmland, we have in our data center outside of Chicago, there in a commercial district, there is essentially more energy to power the entire city of Naperville coming into that single building. Secondly, the jobs that were brought up. Yes, you will have jobs for construction, but ultimately you're only going to have a handful of jobs on site afterwards. The majority of the jobs that are on our data centers are jobs to rack and stack devices and to do security. These are not high-end jobs that are like programming a .NET application. They are security jobs, and everything is managed remotely. The last thing I will just say is that I tried to move into this neighborhood back into the area 10 years ago. And what I would encourage the commission to do is to look at building more subdivisions, more places for people to live, so that I can bring my tax dollars from Lake County and bring them back into Porter County and be a Bearcat.
Hi, my name is Beth Cromery, and I'm in Union Township, and we are one of those families that recently moved here for all of the things that everybody has talked about. And I want to make a note that a number of people have said to QTS, you can't even face the community. You could have simply turned your chairs around and faced the community in the comments instead of looking over your shoulder. Now, granted, most of us are giving our comments to the commission. That's who we want to make this decision. But the fact that you can't be bothered to turn around
Okay,
says
all right,
volumes.
no personal tax.
I got it. So I'm an executive assistant, and in my role, oftentimes I update presentation decks for executives. And my job is to make it flashy, it's to sell something, and that's what we're being sold. In 2021, QTS was bought by Blackstone. And some of the values that Blackstone, their value system is they focus on profit over community. They contributed to the housing crisis after 2008. They have a lack of transparency as a private equity firm. And their model is short to medium term ownership model. What does that mean? It means that they often sell the assets that they purchased within 5 to 10 years. So I've worked in corporate America and I've worked with private equity, and I've seen firsthand how often promises made to communities are not promises kept. While QTS may present a long-term plan today, we must remember that they're owned by Blackstone, a private equity firm known for prioritizing short-term profits over long-term community. So yes, you can stand before us, you can make big promises, but what happens when Blackstone exits, QTS is sold, and new ownership comes in with a different agenda? Our community will be the one left to deal with the noise, the emissions, the land use, and the consequences. We deserve sustainable, thoughtful development, not projects that leave residents with the cleanup while corporations walk away with the profit. If this project can't guarantee long-term accountability, then it doesn't belong here. We ask you respectfully but firmly, find somewhere else.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Helkitis, and I'm here to oppose the data center, but even more so because my daughter lives in Wheeler and has 2 children in the Wheeler school system. I want to thank the representative from NIPSCO for being here this evening when he delivered half of his speech. What you did not hear is that the electric rate that you're paying was established in August of 2023 by NIPSCO. On December the 5th of 2024, there were 3 hearings in front of the Indiana Regulatory Commission. One in Valpo, one in Hammond, and one in Gary, Indiana at the Miller Library. It was standing room only at all of them. NIPSCO has the highest rate of any investor-owned municipal utility or company. They are now proposing a $32 a month rate increase, which translates into $15,584,000,000 annually. So why am I telling you? What's the nexus to this? What you did here is the tremendous amount of energy that's going to be required to run the data center. The tremendous amount of water that's going to be used in this facility. The noise pollution that's going to be established that is higher when we talk about a decibel count. About a 97-foot high structure in the middle of agriculture. So I'm thinking, why would they want to put it next to a school? There's an option here. And this is not a remark to go to Gary.
Your time's up, sir.
They already have light and heavy industrial vacant land. It's a great option.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you to all my neighbors and friends for being here tonight. It makes my heart so happy to see you supporting our community. I'm Melissa Capillari. I'm a Union Township resident of 46 years, a realtor in Northwest Indiana of 23 years, and a graduate of Wheeler High School. I'd like to share some data, you like that, with some of you and some facts, and I'm going to quote from an article that we recently posted on nar.realtor, which is our association's website, by David Goldberg. Recently, in my own realm, potential buyers have been asking me if they should look elsewhere to buy land to build their homes on outside of Union Township, and I don't have an answer for them. Mostly because our association does studies and collects data, and we have not had enough time to study the data on that yet to see what these centers are truly doing. I can only share with you that my buyers don't want to live by this, and they are not buying the land that I'm showing them. Data center projects, rather than by acreage or square feet, as in other areas of commercial real estate, are gauged by the amount of electricity they consume. Whether, well, do you guys remember when Netflix was like a mail service for DVDs, and then it went online? That required data storage. So to give you some perspective, sites for data storage at that time required about 5 to 10 acres or 50 megawatts of power, because these sites are not measured by acreage or square footage. They're measured in value by the amount of electricity that they can provide. That has to come from somewhere. Why are we seeing an increased need for this? Why are we seeing the hyperscalers now looking for 500 plus acre sites? It is because artificial intelligence has made its way into our world. OpenAI is the main platform for AI. Its main platform is ChatGPT. When it was adopted in 22, over 1 million users adopted it in 5 days after launching. By comparison, Instagram took 2.5 months to reach 1 million downloads, and our friend Netflix had to wait 3.5 years to reach that number of users. AI is the driving force behind the need for these facilities, and we love it, and we all use it whether we realize it or not. It is here to stay. We do need these facilities. The sheer volume of data routed through these centers has grown tenfold over the last decade. It's projected to reach 181 zettabytes this year. That's 1 trillion gigabytes, equivalent to 250 billion DVDs. A 2024 report by the Department of Energy estimated that the power consumed by data centers in the U.S. tripled over the past decade and could triple again by 2028 and could consume up to 12% of the nation's electricity. My question is, what's the strat plan for that growth? How will that increased need be filled? Where will it come from? Will you sprawl throughout the county when you get that zoning change? To Emily Rogowski's point, when that fails and DeepSeek does have a better method, what will you do with that space?
Okay. Thank you.
Hello. It's not working yet. Can you hear me okay? Oh, good. My name is Austin Bonta. I'm the mayor of Portage, Indiana. I don't know if that gets me 2 or 5 minutes, but I'll do my best. Well, thank you. I'll still be kind of quick. This meeting was weird for me because all last week I was getting text messages and emails from people who wanted me to come here asking if I would speak against the data center. And then I was also flooded with messages from people who asked if I would speak for it. It's a very interesting position to be in. My hope was that it's because I have a reputation for being honest and transparent. Now that I'm here and having listened to everything, I think it's also because Portage has at least the one data center everyone agrees is in the right place. So that was very cool to hear. Portage is a city. We were founded as a town in 1959, quickly became a city in 67, because when you become a city, you designate an area, a political unit or subdivision, where the people there have a greater degree, on one hand, of control of what comes in, but there is an expectation that there's going to be commercial and industrial development as well as home development. Portage became a city or a town, and quickly we got a mill and a port. We have a strong industrial corridor. I got elected mayor 2 years ago, and not to get too political, but I campaigned on building and restoring our city's business base so that we weren't just a bedroom community, and whether or not that's the kind of city you want to live in, I got elected by 58% of the vote. I say that because Portage is a city we want to be a city. Immediately to our south is the wonderful community, not subdivision, of Wheeler. Wheeler's actually historically a town that then unincorporated, but it is still a community, as you can see here. I've tried to figure out where the borders are. It's kind of wherever these people's hearts are. Listen, I am not terribly qualified to speak about the environmental. I've been doing a lot of reading, but simply put, I'm not against data centers, especially in appropriate places. We have lots of appropriate places for them, actually in Portage. We just don't have 800 acres, so I'm sorry. But we're for positive growth and we are for industrial growth. But that's a decision that Portage made as a city when we incorporated. Now, 2 years ago, not only was I running for mayor, I came to the same expo center and spoke before the Porter County government. And I asked, with the plans that the county had, and I think still has, for creating a bigger thoroughfare to go through Union Township, I asked the question, what is the plan to respond to the catalyst for growth that could be in Union Township? We could be seeing more proposals for industrial, commercial, and residential growth in Union Township, and what is the buy-in from the community? What I was told by someone not currently here at the table was, oh, we don't anticipate any such growth. We think it's just going to be a road with farms on both sides of it, and it got a huge laugh from the people here. 2 years later, we're talking about an 800-acre industrial facility, and I feel a little vindicated, or feel a little bit like my concern was valid. Listen, I understand that one of the reasons why some people, including me, choose to live in a city, I love Wheeler to visit, but I like being a city slicker. I'm sorry, guys. The reason that people choose to live in a city is because you get the city benefits. On one hand, you might have more industrial, more commercial, but then you also get the tax benefits to be able to invest in that for things like public safety, parks, and all of that stuff. If you choose to live in a more rural area, generally that's going to mean less city-style services. It's going to mean less paved roads. I promise I'm trying to get to the point here. The city of Portage recognizes the fact that we are the biggest city in Porter County. We're an industrial city, and we're proud of that heritage. Almost immediately to our south is a more rural, more, what's the opposite of dense, more loosely populated area called Wheeler. I understand that with the growth happening across the region right now, we're going to see more catalysts, more things trying to come. City of Portage is here to work with Porter County, and I've proposed some ideas to Porter County, including an extraterritorial district with Wheeler representation for us to kind of manage the rate of growth in Union Township, especially North Union Township. We've talked about a sanitary district. We've talked about co-working with the county on master plans. I know that's begun already with Mr. Jabo. I appreciate that Tom Cherry is part of the team doing that initial work. But I think, to put it really simply, whether we're looking at, and again, for the record, I'm kind of for industrial stuff because I'm from an industrial city. If you don't want to live in Portage, that's okay. But that said, if there is a desire to look at the benefits that come from something such as a data center, a factory, a commercial development, or more neighborhood developments within Union Township, I think that's fine, but I think we have to recognize that Union Township, well more rural than Portage, it is definitely a more connected community than just a straight up rural area. And although this is for the Porter County government to consider, I think we have to consider that Union Township, Wheeler, is a community, and if you're going to be bringing anything in, be it a data center, be it a commercial shopping district, neighborhoods, how much of the benefits of that is going to be directed to the Wheeler community? If it's going to benefit all of Porter County in some way, that's great, but I think that you got to consider that if Union Township is getting the additional burdens of being an industrial area, or the additional blessings, they need to be able to share those blessings too. That's up to them, but I just want to state this is not a Porter County issue, in my opinion, so much it is a Union Township Wheeler issue. Portage is happy to help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, my name's Kyle. I'm also from Union Township. Thank you guys all for coming and supporting us. A lot of people from outside of our area. A lot of people outside of our area, thank you guys for coming, supporting Union Township. The land that I currently own is zoned residential rural, as is all the land surrounding me. Now this company here before you, owned by Blackstone, wants to buy 800 acres and rezone it under a PUD in order to build a hyperscale data center. Make no mistake, it is a hyperscale data center. If you Google data center, this is not what you're looking at. First off, you can talk about the energy and the huge amounts of power they consume. Just going off of their submitted drawings, it looks like 43 generators per each building, a total of 19 buildings. That's a lot of power, and Union Township doesn't have the infrastructure to support that. That means massive NIPSCO upgrades. So who will pay for these? The data center? Doubtful. Take these articles, for example. In Baltimore, local paper writes, proposal from power supplier could leave consumers covering $800 million in transmission lines to Virginia data centers. BusinessInsider.com reports Meta's data center could leave Louisiana's utility customers, to pay $5 billion in power upgrade bill. Harvard just did a study through their electricity law initiative, and they said that unless something changes, all U.S. consumers will pay billions of dollars to build new power plants for big tech. I could go on with this, but in essence of time here, again, in that Harvard report, they say many data centers have confidential agreements with utility companies, citing proprietary price information. This limits the info on how much energy they use and how much they pay. So looking at it, on average, residential customers are paying 14.4 cents a kilowatt, while these data centers, they're hunting for a rate less than 5 cents a kilowatt.
Okay, all right.
So
Thank
they
you,
take
sir.
and they take and they take, and
Your
they
time's up.
pay
Thank you.
1/3 what we do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make an announcement. We're going to end the meeting after everybody speaks that's in line now. No new members in line. So who's ever in line now, they can speak, and the meeting's over. So go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody that's here tonight. My name is Ryan Henson. I'm born and raised Porter County, went to Wheeler High School, live in Pleasant Township now. As a trained water treatment professional, I would love to hear about your proprietary program where you don't have to blow down any water and it all gets trucked away. It sounds like ruinously expensive. The only reason you would really do that is if it's hazardous waste. And then to the folks for the utilities, would love to know what the estimated rate hikes are for folks that paying utility bills. So question for those folks. A couple last things here. A 50-foot flag, in my opinion, is not nearly big enough. I hope to put one of those up at my house one day. And then please take your data center back to Kansas with you. Drove one through there many times. It's a huge, vastly empty state. Tons of places for you to put it there. So thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? My name is Kylie Kochnash. I live in Wheeler. I've lived there practically all my life. Wonderful community. Love the people. I'm 22. I am a full-time student, college student. I study biology. While ecology may not be my focus, it really does not take an expert to tell that this is going to ruin our community. This is going to ruin our lands. And as someone who also has epilepsy, the effect of these electromagnetic waves directly affects people with epilepsy because it makes it more likely for us to have seizures. So if there are any kids with epilepsy in these schools, putting it that close to me is inhumane because you are making it more likely for these kids that probably are so fearful of having to go through something like this. It makes it even more likely of them having this and at school. The idea of this, to me, I don't even understand why we're having this meeting. I don't even understand why this is a thought. If you truly, truly value community, then I feel I can speak on behalf of practically the entire Union Township community here. Go somewhere else.
Okay, sir. You're on.
How you doing? My name is Michael Bonaventura, live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and a lot of the concerns that people are bringing up are real life, so I wanted to bring a little bit different perspective as to why I wanted to come up here. I took a career choice about 5 years ago, and I decided to get into the energy business. So back in 2020, obviously COVID's going around, things are going here, and I decided to do renewable energy. So I would fly into these places and I would work and go door to door. I'm a door-to-door salesman, so I would go door to door and I would listen to these people talk about the energy crisis. Now, yes, we walk into these areas in these markets, and the energy crisis that these people were experiencing is because of the data center and the increase of the electricity that it takes to operate these things on 24/7. So, as the young man came up here before, talking about NIPSCO, I was at these NIPSCO hearings a couple years ago with these rate increases. Well, guess what? The rate increases are here. We're already paying for these data centers in the form of electricity rate increases. And so, the reason why they picked this demographic area to put these data centers in is because we can sustain the cost of the increase of the electricity. These data centers are no good. There's been a lot of examples of reasons why the data centers do not work, but just the structural infrastructure and the cost that it takes to operate these things is astronomical. They're being pushed already back onto the homeowners in the form of rate increases. We had thermal costs go up in August. Now we're looking at utility rate increases of 22%, really breaks down to about 30% starting in September of this year. Phase 2 is in March of this year for the increase of the cost. Then they've got another scheduled rate increase 2 years from now. So it's just really not sustainable to have these data centers in this area.
Thank you. Okay.
Can you hear me? First, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity to speak today. I think this is an important topic. Obviously it is. Everyone's here. My name's Anthony Lavenda. I've lived in Union Township since 2010 with my wife and my children. My wife and I have lived in Northwest Indiana, Porter County, for over 50 years. We wanted to settle in an area with a little privacy, enjoy the outdoors, hunt, fish, do all those things, and Union Township has provided that. And being in the community, I realized that's what everyone wants. I was not aware of the data centers going up in Burns Harbor or Chesterton until it came to Valparaiso. And so I got on the internet. I'm not big on social media, but I did at that time. And I got all that information from the internet, which is stored in data centers. But then I looked at it and I wanted to do my own research and what are the pluses and minuses of data centers. And I had to use information on the internet to do so. And I realized there's risks and benefits to everything. Data centers do not really have a net positive for our economy, health, or environment. Any promised net positive to our community is short-lived and will have a detrimental effect for generations to come. There's a significant risk and a net negative to our community. There's a negative impact it will have on the value of our property, potential significant increase in cost of utilities, and a negative impact on 1,000, perhaps millions of animals that use that land for food and shelter. But as a physician, I want to focus on the health risks. The cloud, as we like to call it, is made up of matter or material. It's structures. It uses fuel, electricity, water, heat, metals, minerals, and rare elements to function and do their job. As we heard earlier, a single data center can consume the equivalent electricity of 50,000 homes. The cloud, as we call it, now has a greater carbon footprint than the airline industry. It uses a significant amount of water, and many cities and towns nationally have communities that are near data centers have strains on their water systems. In 2022, Google, Microsoft, and Meta alone were responsible for over 396 billion gallons of water. This number will increase as data centers go up.
Okay, sir, your time's up, sir.
I'm going to keep going. Okay? Acoustic waste or noise pollution has a negative impact on the community. Hundreds of thousands of servers can generate decibels that are extremely harmful to not only human ears, but the animals that surround the area. Minute vibrations generated by data centers are well documented.
Sir, how much more time do you need?
When I'm done,
well, I tell you what, you have
this
about,
low level,
you have about
constant
10
hum,
seconds. You have 10 seconds, sir.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
Can be heard from miles away. Not only does this affect hearing, but it is well documented
You have
that
other
can
people
elevate
want to
stress
speak.
hormones
You have
like
other
cortisol.
people like to speak. So.
And they'll get their time. Yeah. Yeah. Elevated stress hormones can lead to weight gain, fatigue, depression, hypertension, headache, and difficulty sleeping. This can affect homeowners from miles away. And we're also talking about our school children. The school's right there. What about the radioactive material and the toxic chemicals that they need to function? The diesel fuel to run. When improperly disposed of in landfills, toxic material seeps into the soil and groundwater, affecting our health. E-waste accounts for nearly 70% of toxic material in our landfills. The cost on our health is over $25 billion. What about air pollution? We already talked about that. Health risks associated with data centers are associated with cancer, asthma, high blood pressure, stress, fatigue, depression, weight gain, to name a few. Even the United States government recognized the health risks associated with data centers. Former President Joe Biden signed an executive order recognizing these risks. This is still under effect with the current administration. To make a decision that will impact our environment, the health of our community, and the local community today and for generations to come without truly understanding the negative impact it will have is not only a huge mistake, but foolish. To quote Dr. Michael Simon, one of my mentors, progress for the sake of progress is foolish. And it's important to know what you know, but it's more important to know what you don't.
Okay, sir.
Not so long ago, physicians...
How much more time do you need?
30 seconds.
Okay.
Not so long ago as physicians, we told our patients it was okay to smoke for weight loss, tobacco was not harmful, nicotine was not addictive, and opioids were okay. These were sold to us by big corporations with false promises, and we took the bait. Big corporations profited, but not our communities. We were wrong and our communities suffered. I adamantly opposed the construction of data centers in the Union Township community. Burns Harbor, Chesterton, and Valpo, and most recently, Kosciuszko County made the right decision. I hope we're smart enough to do the same. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Erin Machichi, and my husband Tony and I have born and raised in Porter County. We've lived in Union Township for 12 years. We have 2 boys that attend Union Township schools, and tonight we should have been at a baseball game. We should have been watching them play baseball on our brand new complex that would rival any complex in the state of Indiana. If you haven't seen it, you should come out. But instead we're here because a large, greedy corporation didn't think our small community was gonna fight back. But we're here and we are fighting back. In my job, every day, I have to work with a fair and balanced presentation. We didn't get a fair and balanced presentation. All you gave us was a presentation with rose-colored glasses. You used a lot of buzzwords to get people's attention. I don't know where you live. I don't know if you have children that go through schools and a K through 12 school, but I find it very, very hard to believe that any of you would want to send your children to a school that's next to a data center. I find it very hard to believe that you would want to live next to a data center. The negative impact that this data center would have on our community is astronomical. Decrease in home values, noise pollution, light pollution, potential health issues, and that's just to name a few. My husband and I have worked tirelessly to provide a nice home for our children in a small, close-knit community with an amazing school system. And I truly hope that your conscience would not even let you consider putting this data center in Union Township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Davis. I live in Valparaiso, and I've been listening to several of these meetings, and one thing that's never discussed is what happens in the end of the lifespan for these data centers. They're only good, according to AIs off the internet. They're from building to the retirement is 10 to 20 years. The trees will have been grown, but what are your plans for reclaiming the area and repurposing the area? Are we going to be left with a vacant bunch of buildings with some archaic material in it that we have to clean up? Technology is going to advance so much within the 10 years that they will be obsolete and they will have to be updated or reinvented. What happens then? Where do we sit? Are we going to be sitting with another garbage dump? So I am opposed to this based on where it's located, what it's for. I know we need it, but there are places that this could go that would not have the impact that this is going to have on the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer.
My name is Tim Schaefer. I'm an attorney and have a law firm in Maryville, Indiana, where I practice with my two sons. Both were Wheeler High School graduates, but more importantly, I'm the grandfather of 7 children, 7 grandkids. Got one of them sitting over here right now. I'm here because I'm concerned about the health, safety, and well-being of the grandkids. We have a foreign corporation that's come into town now and could care less about the Porter County residents, our school, and our children. They have literally no business placing a data center behind our high school, next to our new ball fields, next to the football field, the baseball field, the soccer fields. The data center, without a doubt, will destroy property values. Don't think anybody can dispute that. It will destroy the school. It will impede expansion. It will threaten the health and well-being of the children and the residents. It's simply not compatible with the adjoining property, which is one of the requirements and mandates for this panel or the Planning Commission to approve. It's not in harmony with the existing structures, and the request for the data center does not comply with the UDO, which is the Unified Development Ordinance. That's why I thought it'd be helpful from a legal standpoint. I reviewed the UDO and the standards that you must follow, the Planning Commission must follow to approve. It talks about the purpose. Well, it goes without saying that the data center does not comply with the general purposes outlined in your UDO. It talks about land use. It says a PUD must or shall be consistent with future land use patterns and goals. Well, a data center is not consistent with that. It's been stopped, like we said, by Valpo, been stopped by Chesterton, been stopped at Burns Harbor. It will eliminate the growth and expansion in this area and our schools if we allow this to be here, decimate the property values in the area. Another point for the surrounding areas that the Commission must follow is surrounding uses. It states the PUD shall be compatible with existing and intended uses of the surrounding property. How on earth is this compatible with the 70-foot buildings? We have a residential and agricultural and a school. That is the ball game for the Planning Commission right there, that decision, okay? Not only do we have 75-foot buildings, they're gonna be operating 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We have noise, we have generators, we have air pollution, we have lights, we have traffic problems. This is anything but compatible. We have massive uses of electricity and water. It's going to change the landscape of our community. It's going to change the way of life. It's going to give us a different perception, our community, if we have a bunch of data centers built right behind the school. The next thing, your requirement is the natural environment. It shall be harmonious with the natural character of the site and surroundings. Do I need to comment on these buildings? Could be anything but that. I mean, public facilities and services. The PUD shall not place an undue burden on the capacity of the public facilities or services, roads, water, electricity. We know it's a massive amount of electricity and water that's going to be used, and the traffic will be substantial wear and tear. I don't think they've complied with one point that they're required to prove right now. They're required to show all these. Last but certainly not least, and it's a perfect follow-up to Dr. Lavenda, protects health, safety, and welfare. A PUD shall not contain conditions or uses that may be injurious to public health, safety, or welfare. Well, We've shown that. That's couldn't be further from the truth. And I would like to point out that in their application, they asked it's going to take at least 3 years to build, these 3 to 5 years. Well, it's going to be in different phases too, so it could be up to 10 years if they have multiple buildings. Well, they're exempt. They're noise. It's exempt during construction. There is no regulations on noise while they're building. So for 10 years, there'll be no regulations for noise, okay? So we have traffic, we have noise, we have air pollution, we have generators, we have lights, we have heavy equipment. We know now that it affects respiratory problems, hypertension, sleep deprivation, seizures we learned here today.
Your 5 minutes are up, sir.
I would just like to ask one. We see that they've now amended their petition, and what they're really doing is changing it from agriculture and light industry to what they want is heavy industry. That's the game here. They're applying to the PUD, misusing this because they can't possibly get cleared through the zoning board. Impossible to put this structure here. So that's what they're doing. I'd ask the board to look at that and the commission to see that and look at the list of what their uses are going to be because it's clearly heavy industrial. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Hi, my name's Lori. I live in Union Township. When I look out my front window, I see the bison farm. And on Friday nights, I can see the football lights and all the games. I can hear the hurrahs, you know, when they're doing good. But what I have to say is, why do they insist upon putting these things in residential areas or, you know, east of here? There's all sorts of farmland. You got Jasper, Pulaski, you got Stark County, you got a river down there, you even got a NIPSCO plant. Genco could add on to that. You can have your own power. You don't even have to bother any of us. But I just don't get it. And then as far as the jobs go, sure, you got the jobs for the construction for what, 3 years? And then after that, you employ what, 10 people, 20 people? And if it's such good pay, people will drive for a half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour to Chicago for a good job. Why do you have to put it here? Why can't you put it out there? They'll go there if you put it out there. You don't need it here.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. My name is Jerry Ernie. I spoke earlier. I want to make 3 brief points. The first being, basically, Black Rock has a bad reputation, and I think it's borders on sadistic to put it where our children are. That is not allowable. What the NIPSCO guy didn't tell you tonight was that Com Edison is buying NIPSCO. You think the rates were cheap high now? Wait till Com Edison gets a hold of it. And I'm going to take this opportunity to challenge every one of you people, including your people for Black Rock. When it rains the next time, go outside, take your phone, and let it collect rain. And once it's collected some moisture, I want you to illuminate the screen and look at the nanoparticles of aluminum that are pentagon-shaped that we are breathing constantly. You talk about air pollution, look up. They're called kill trails, not condensate trails. They're killing us from above, and you can prove it to yourself. When it rains, you guys do it too. You're breathing this stuff. And look at these particles. There's aluminum, barium, and one other toxic chemical in the air. Please be aware.
Thank you.
My name's Randy Palmatier. I am the business manager of the Northwest Indiana Building and Construction Trades Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I hear what everybody's saying. I have a lot of members that I represent that live in Union Township, that live in Porter County. We cover a 4-county area, Lake Porter, Newton, and Jasper. We have 13 of the building trades in my room, roughly 27 affiliates. I have members for and I have members against it. Obviously, my job and our business manager's job, for the union families in the room, you guys know this, we secure jobs for our members. That's what we do. My sticker says supports data centers, the building trades, not locality, okay? So I heard a lady say earlier about there was beds or something being brought out there. I do not have an agreement with QTS, but I have spoke with a gentleman last week, and then we had another meeting, so they were gonna hire local union labor on this project. I just appreciate the council, the commissioners, everybody. Just let it go through the process. I mean, it's already working. Look at the room here, guys. I mean, let it go through the process, as was pointed out earlier. So with that, thank you for letting me speak. If you guys, QTS, if you guys build it, wherever you build it, if you take, I echo Austin Bonta's comments, if you build it in Portage, just make sure you use local labor on it, okay? And remember, before you guys beat up NIPSCO too much, they do put a lot of our members to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, sir.
I think the community's spoken pretty clearly, so I'll be brief. My name's Kevin Riberty, and I'm a lifelong resident of Porter County. And up until I heard about this proposal, I planned on dying here. I understand the desire and the need for the county to generate revenue, but we need to do it responsibly. I don't like paying taxes any more than the next guy does. But I'll pay more in tax every day of the week to avoid putting that burden on the shoulders of our community's children. Data center proposals have been shot down 3 other times in Porter County. How many times do we need to shoot this down before our voices are heard? There's certainly a place for data centers, and I'm not here to debate that. But that place is not adjacent to a school. We don't need 19 buildings as tall as the Gaynor Bank in Maryville next to a school. We don't need hundreds of generators next to our school. And we don't need tens of thousands of gallons of above-ground fuel storage next to our school. Data centers have a place, but it's clearly not near our schools.
Thank you. Hey, sir.
John Bednash, Union Township. Okay, 9/11, their objective, what was it? To shut down the country, and they did. They shut down the banking, the insurance, and the stock market. Now, do these data centers have targets on the roofs to where if we did get in a major conflict, that they would hit them first to shut down this country for all the information going in there? And another thing, as far as NIPSCO is concerned, I can't see them helping us in the least bit. All they are is after the money, because I've dealt with them before, and they're just not there for us.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna call, go ahead, sir, your last.
My name is Gary Brown. Gary liked the city, Brown liked the color. It's corny, but it works. 50 years of sales, it was nice to have a common name. I sold with honesty, but I worked with dishonest companies. I left them. They say, why you leave? You cheated me, you cheated my clients. Over and over and over and over. Looking for Godot, trying to find an honest person. This is our 4th data center rodeo. I'm president of Isaac Walton, Porter County. I'm sorry. It's all my fault you're here. They called us when we were finishing Valpo. We got it as soon as we could. And trained the trainers. Didn't take much training. It's amazing how this is all the same, no matter how big it is. The process leaks out. The process has to continue. We're going to do the process. We'll tell you the minimum. Different things leak out. They blame what's on Facebook. Facebook reacts quicker than the officials can do, than the newspapers can do, than the radios can do. This is the only county in Indiana that has a chance to cancel a 4th data center. Let's hope we achieve it. I'm going to say to you what I said to Valpo. Be fearless. They did it on the day of Harriet Tubman's memorial. Harriet Tubman, the slave that slaved slaves. And I said, be fearless. Commissioners, be fearless. I'm going to give you, in quick succession, not answered tonight in the general presentation. Hydric soil is in the wetlands. We know from our treasurer, who worked 53 years with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. You have to inject a lot of stuff to do foundations. I heard nothing about that. Who are their clients? Everybody says AI. That's a cover. Manuka, Illinois just confided, because they've already signed the contract, they've already been told the vast majority is cryptocurrency. And what was used for big hacking operations for Russia and others to get our Social Security numbers, later it was money laundering from drug companies, sex trafficking. Those can still tap in. What are their security measures so that will not happen? Next item, power outages. If there's power outages, what's the range of how many of these gas turbines spreading air pollution? Elon Musk is in trouble in Memphis. They have huge air pollution just from what he started just less than a year ago. How many generators? Exactly. What is their estimate of air pollution? They have to have it to get the permit from the U.S. government and from Indiana. I heard none of these. Are they going to talk about portable, modular reactors? Nobody can get them to work. They're all talking about it. They want you to invest in it. There are no depositories for radioactive waste. They'll all have to do it on site until they figure that out. I heard nothing about that. Lifespan was brought up. What do you do with it when it's done? It's totally polluted forever. Who manages contract disputes, and what are the penalties? Look for those clauses, because if they say that they get to pick the arbitration, you have nothing. And if they say the penalties are $2,000 a month, chicken feed, they'll just pay them. That is the history of data centers. I heard nothing about that. Landfill. You picked a site that already has a landfill? You think they're suckers again? There's a small word, dump. Dump, 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 until the EPA was formed through Richard Nixon, because they didn't know what to do with all these dumps. And then their pollution was fixed when they did a peaceful word, landfill. We filled it. If they had to do today the requirements for your landfill here, it would not pass. And we know so much more about landfills and methane burning and all of that. Imagine how much more you're going to learn about data centers in a few short years. We already have data about the first 2.5 miles, tons of data. It becomes a wasteland. Wildlife leave, and it affects humans, especially the youngest and the oldest. Guess what? I'm the oldest, and if you put a tax income financing, I'll never see a dime of that property tax for the rest of my life, okay? Surges, they happen anytime they get too much data. It may not be 3 in the morning, it may be 3 in the afternoon, it could be 6 times that day. They have to give you the range, what the surges are. They know they're doing data centers. They have that data. They should share it with the county. I just gave you a smattering of things that were not answered today. That was the feel-good presentation. One last item, they're going to truck this stuff out of the way to have it recycled somewhere else. They use millions and millions of gallons, whatever this coolant is. They're going to need a bullet train running regularly. They ain't going to have enough trucks. Something's wrong with that calculation. I'd like to see that math. It would be very interesting. I will finish with one last thing. Isaac Walton, as an organization, started a lot of the conservation moves in 1922. This is the 103rd year. They're trying to come back, slow but sure. We were going to have them voting this July on a national data center resolution. They are way ahead of the curve because of Porter County, okay? This is your chance to make history, not just for this county, but also for the state and for the Midwest and for the nation. All eyes are on you. You know you can do it. Boone Grove is not very far away. You may find out real soon that it goes beyond the 2.5-mile limit. I pray with you to do that. We will always be here, Isaac Walton. When you don't get action from your city officials, your county officials, I'm your huckleberry. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna call it into this meeting. I just want to thank the folks for your patience and your time. Thank you. The meeting's ended. Sorry.